Yeah, so you've seen people who sometimes they look like they have burnt skin.
Yes,
so for example, for people who have our skin color, you will notice that they have patches of very, very bright skin. Wanakani kama wazungu. Yeah, so that is actually part of that pigmentation issue that they have.
Yes, and the day is just aimed at educating people to reduce issues to do with stigma, and even support those living with that condition.
Right.
Then it is also another day, a special day for the seafarers, wanabaharia.
So this is to all the sailors.
Yes. This is also a day that is observed by the United Nations, and it is coordinated by the International Maritime Organization, IMO. And it is meant to honor the vital role of seafarers in global trade and economics.
All right.
But you see, people might think these people are not so important because now mnaona wanakaa kule kwa maji. So people tend to forget.
It's not like that they are not important. It's just that we tend to not remember them as often or think about them as often.
So why don't you remember them? It is because
sasa wewe uko hapa Nairobi, si ndio? Ama uko Mlolongo, ama uko sijui wapi Wajia. At what point in your life are you thinking about someone who is in the ocean or in the sea or on a river anyway?
They are doing a part in, especially when we talk of global trade and we talk of economies. That is very important, and this was established in the year 2010 during a Manila conference revising the STGW convention, and it recognizes 1.5 million, 1.5, they range between 1.5 to 1.89 seafarers transporting 90% of world's goods.
Yes.
Imagine.
So you can imagine, as I was telling you, unless you're living in a place like Kisumu, where there's a lake, or Mombasa, Diani, the coastal area, you will hardly think about people who are in the ocean. Like kama saizi, umeamka asubuhi. Had you not mentioned that, chances are the whole of today would have just ended without me having to think about anything to do with the ocean.
With the ocean,
Yes.
Well,
So it's a good thing that we get to have this United Nations commemorating days.
And and do you know the theme of this year?
What is the theme?
The theme is My Harassment, a Free Ship. My Harassment, Free Ship.
My Harassment, Free Ship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it focuses on eliminating bullying, harassment, and discrimination at sea.
I think this message is towards the pirates.
No. By the way, of course.
This message, because they're the ones who bully, they're the ones who harass. But of course, we know that you can't cause us some few stories here and there.
And do you know, 50% of female seafarers and many male seafarers face harassment, impacting their mental health and careers. So the campaign promotes zero tolerance to policies, inclusive workplaces, and mental health support.
All right. Well, it's a good thing, and to all the people who are out there in the ocean, whether you work in a sea cruise, making sure that people get from one point to another in a luxurious way, this one is definitely for you, and we thank you for your service. And also to our servicemen who call the Navy.
Yes,
those are people we also need to remember. They might not be in trade, but they protect the people who actually do that trade. Because in the ocean there is no police. In the ocean it's only militaries. You will find Chinese militaries, the United States militaries, and other countries. So a big shout out to them. Especially wa Kenya, military ya Kenya imesaidia sana, Navy ya Kenya imesaidia sana in matters to do with piracy, for example. We know there's a lot of that it's a huge menace in the waters around Kenya and Somalia. So thank you so much for those servicemen. Imagine that the vehicle you're driving now came through the ocean, and it was protected by the military.
You know where I used to work? We were on 8th floor.
Yes,
and we could see what is happening in the
ocean.
Like every time a ship is coming in with magari,
cargo,
we could just tell people now, watu wa magari, if you had ordered some car, imefika. So anza kushuka kule port. So
unaangalia unasema kuna kamazda demi pale nimekaona ka pink mwenyewe. Congratulations.
You could see. So it is just so amazing what these people, the work they are doing.
Right.
I'm just imagining, because you've heard how much the sea carries.
Yes.
You've heard how much has to be transported through the sea. It's quite a lot.
True.
So they are doing a lot of work. I'm just imagining a country where you cannot transfer to other nations.
Yes.
Wezi kwenda, wezi kufika Europe, wezi kufika Asia. How would we have transported these goods?
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's so important.
It is 9 minutes past 6 o'clock, and we're just about to get onto our website, that is rgk.co.ke. So kindly, if you haven't opened that website, open it so we can go together as far as the conversations are concerned, top stories as well. And of course, today being the 25th day of June 2025, we are aware of what is about to happen as far as the commemoration of what transpired last year up until today. So we are aware that Kenyans did say that they're giving themselves a public holiday, but the government said there is no public holiday. Serikali imesema kila mtu aende kazini kawaida.
Watu waende kazini.
Serikali imesema biashara zenyu mfungue kawaida. You have been assured of security. Speaking of which, as I was coming down Mombasa Road, I met a contingent of police officers. Many of them, many. I counted probably maybe around 20 on Mombasa as you're coming from JKIA heading into City Cabanas. Wale askari wako pale. And I am sure the traffic jam that is going to be on that road today is going to be crazy.
And again, just all these other roads, we are having already traffic police wameshaeka blocks pale.
How to see traffic?
As early as today. As early as 6.
Yes. Wale see traffic police, I can assure you. Wale ndio tunaitanga security agencies. And you know security agencies ni nyingi. Kuna the Kenya Police, kuna GSU.
It's a mixture.
Yes. Kuna NIS. Kuna DCI. Kuna kwa wengi. Yes. And what has troubled me is that I saw a couple of those officers in plain clothes. And they had balaclavas on. Now, in case you're wondering what a balaclava is, balaclava ni ile kitu inaka kama boshori. The thing that you wear and it covers every part of your face and your head. Only and leaves only the eyes exposed. Yes. So huyu hao maaskari wengine nimeona wamefunika sura zao kabisa mpaka nywele. You can't tell kama huyu jamaa akona nywele fupi, refu or bald head. You can't tell kama akona rasta. Karao amevaa balaclava.
So ukiwa hapo nje, you know, if you're planning just to cause any chaos,
just know that they've already anticipated you. And they're wearing jeans and sport shoes. Kumaanisha kama ni kutoka mbio. Alafu wajua wamekonda, wale watu wako fit.
Kama ni kutoka mbio tutatoka.
Yes. So if you know you are overweight like me, please usingangane leo.
Na wale watakuwa natoka nyumbani.
Kutoka nyumbani wapi?
Wale watakuwa natoka kazini, mtu anaenda tu shughuli zake. Wataka kumwambia kama yeye ako kama wewe akae tu nyumbani leo.
I mean, if you know you are unable to kutoka mbio. Let me use that word. Of course, we are not expecting anyone to cause chaos. All right? That was on a light note. But if you know you just cannot, move very fast. Towards any direction. It is my advice to you. Today just
sasa ukose kazi.
Hata ambia tu mdosi boss, hata wewe unajua kilo zangu hazinikubali. Just tell your boss, you know my weight today won't allow me. So let me just stay at home until things settle down. But for those of course who want to go to town and any other place that you had planned to meet and do a peaceful demo or a peaceful commemoration, by all means do. It's your constitutional right. And I hope you guys have the right permits. I hope I'm not.
Of course, I saw.
I hope I'm not telling anyone to go to town na una permit ya kwenda town.
I saw the police bosses confirming that they went to ask for the permit and they were given, of course. They were given. So before we continue further, let's look at today's RGK train. Where does it take to? Taking us to this one person, Will Durant, who said, civilization begins with order, grows with liberty, and dies with chaos.
Come again.
RGKE, a train taking us to this one person, Will Durant, who said that a civilization begins with order, grows with liberty, and dies with chaos.
So civilization begins with order.
grows with liberty.
Grows with liberty. Liberty is similar to freedom.
Yeah. And dies with chaos.
And dies with chaos. Okay. I hope mmesikia. So whatever we do today, whatever you do today,
yes,
please let chaos not be part of your activity.
Gonna kill the civilization.
And this one is going towards the protesters or the demonstrators or the picketers or the commemorators,
the goons, police,
and the police.
Yes, just everyone.
Because leo town kutakuwa na watu watatu. Leo town ama Nairobi ama the entire country kutakuwa na watu wangapi? Watatu. Number 1, peaceful or peace loving Kenyans.
Yeah.
Then we shall be having the police. The police, let me not say they are peace loving or peace hating, or let me not categorize them anywhere.
Just put them on.
They are just the police.
Yes.
And then we shall have chaos loving Kenyans. So please, if you know you are in any of those 3 categories, today choose peace. Yes. So tafadhali, let's maintain law and order in this country. We love it and we don't want to see it burn. Ama namna gani?
Kweli kabisa.
Aya, sawa. rgk.co.ke. What is happening here? Top stories. Kasipul MP murder suspect says that he was tortured by police. This story is by Tanya Wanjiko. And she is an RGK journalist, that is radio generation journalist, and she says this in her particular story. Let's just open it. Yeah, here we go. That the main suspect in the killing of Kasipul MP Ongondo Were has accused police of torturing him while in custody and declined to plead to the murder charges during a virtual court session. Isaac Kuria, who is alleged to have pulled the trigger in the April 30th murder of the MP in Nairobi, was presented before High Court Judge Kani Kimondo at Milimani Law Court alongside Alan Ogola, the lawmaker's bodyguard. Both were expected to answer to murder charges. Although mental assessment reports confirmed that the two were fit to stand trial and that the charges were formally read out, Kuria refused to take the plea, saying that he wanted to appear physically in court to raise serious issues. So one of the suspects, that is Isaac Kuria, is alleging that police brutalized him while in custody. So Mimi, of course, everyone is against police brutality. Everyone. Yes. Apart from, of course, the ones who are doing the brutality. But in such a case, it's kind of, how can I put it? It's a catch-22 situation. You know, you're caught between a rock and a hard place kind of situation, whereby you want to believe this guy, but also the kind of crime that he has been accused of, you are also asking, there's an ulterior motive. Is he taking advantage of the
what has been
aura in the country right now? You know, people are against this, police brutality. You're innocent until proven guilty kind of situation. So there are many questions. I don't know about you.
Well, Mbuvi, while we were growing up, Kitambo, I remember most of the time, this is not something new. Issues of brutality, by the way. Most of the time kitambo ulikuwa unajua. There is a time kitambo ulikuwa hata kukutana na polisi.
Yeah.
Kwanza vijana ulikuwa ukishamuona polisi, hata kama una makosa unaogopa.
Yeah.
Unaogopa.
You had that guilt conscience.
Not even, you are not even guilty, but you knew kuna tu vile kulikuwa atakuharas tu, atakukimbiza tu.
True.
So that was ni kitu ambacho kilikuwa, it is a culture that we have seen for a long time, up to until the time they said they wanted to put the police reforms.
Yeah.
Wakati wampa walituambia polisi si adui yako. Well, and it is true. Polisi si adui yako. But then now there is something that needs to be worked on. Because nowadays nimeona that fear has come back. Actually, there's a time hiyo fear ya polisi ilikuwa imetoka. Like unaweza kuwa mnapata, you can interact freely with police and so forth, but nowadays nimeanza kuona hiyo woga imeanza kurudi.
We used to live kitambo sana when I was a toddler. We used to live next to a police station.
Yeah.
And I remember I would see cops every morning, every lunchtime, basically all the time, with their guns, with their batons. And as a child, I used to interact with the police a lot.
Ulikuwa mtoto. You were not.
We're talking about ages 3, 4, 5 hapo.
No, hiyo ni uko mtoto. So we are talking of people like us now, your age, the young men, unaona. Yeah, that age. So I think history ya mambo na brutality, history ya kukua harassed,
right.
It is something that has always been there. It's only that now you don't know where unaenda kusema.
It's more pronounced.
Yes, right now it's more pronounced because we have seen what has come out, and of course because everybody now is talking about it, then the chances that kuna wengi wamekuwa tu wakinyamazia ziko so high, and then now this is only time maybe mtu anaweza kusema, but we are not saying that we are supporting what he's saying. It's only that these are things that have always been there, and it is just our desire that one day all these things will end. Tusiwe tu tunasema reforms za kusema tu kwa mdomo. Let us just not change the structures, not change the outside of it. Let's also change the inside of it. Kama we ni police, mtu akikuja pale, I think ilikuwa ni kama ni njia ya like if kama uko na makosa, you get tortured for you to speak out.
Yeah.
If there's something that you are hiding out, you just get pressured. Unakuwa pressured mpaka useme.
I think again, it boils down to the training. When we sat here with Justina Amaya on Monday, she said that the police curriculum needs to change. The training curriculum needs to change. I don't know if maybe when they go to, what is it called? To Kiganjo, or the places where they go for training.
Yes.
If perhaps these are some of the interrogation techniques they're taught. Because me, I have seen a cop harass someone on the first encounter. Hata hajamuuliza unaitwa nani. Ni zile za wewe ndio nasikia unaleta shida hapa. So even before this particular suspect answers that ni yeye si yeye, ashakulwa makofi. And perhaps that person is guilty, yes. Because clearly they're the ones who are causing that particular chaos that the police officer was told about. But I feel like there's a different way that situation could have been handled.
The interrogations can be done. There's a different maybe pressure that can
just ask this person, unaitwa nani? Naitwa Triciah. Triciah, mbona unakuja kusumbua watu hapa Radio Generation? Aseme mimi nilikuwa nasikia njaa, mimi nikakuja hapo nilikuwa na mkate ilikuwa imekaa hivi bure, then I grabbed it, then ndio wakaita askari. Mimi hata sikuwa na ubaya, mimi njaa tu imenimali. But see, that is someone you can actually help out and you can resolve that particular conflict. Pelekeni mali mumbai lunch ama breakfast na story ishe.
Then what do you think this will affect? Unajua hii pressure najua imekuwa ikiwekwa so that it can push for some of these things, like for answers and so forth. What do you think will happen if today now the police just kikupata kuongelesha vizuri Mbuvi?
Yes. The customer relations have been talking about.
What do you think will happen maybe to the people committing these crimes?
Number one, crime will always be there. And the police will always be there.
Yeah.
So we cannot say that sasa because there's always crime tuendelee kufanya nini, tuendelee kukua makara wagumu ama makara wabaya ama makara aggressive or we can always choose to start to make reforms from a certain direction. Because the more we become a friendlier police service, that means then even to the people perhaps we'll get to infiltrate more or reach out to them more and get to understand them more, and that means we'll have better ways of fighting crime and better ways of actually eventually reducing that crime. Kitambo wazazi walikuwa wamezoea kutuchapa kama watoto.
Yeah.
But nowadays, now that we are parents, we're not necessarily I don't slap my children around. I actually sit them down and ask them
and talk to them.
Yeah, where is the problem? And you find that they are more open to me in terms of whatever is going on in their lives. I'll get to learn more challenges that I wouldn't have learned about them had I been an aggressive father. Because kitambo tulikuwa tunajua wazazi walikuwa watu wa kuogopwa. Ukisikia baba yako kwa gate unatoroka. Ukisikia mama yako ndio ameingia, you start pretending that you're doing your homework.
So things are changing.
And you are watching cartoon at that time. But nowadays, you let children know that there's a time for watching cartoon. So that even when you're walking toward them, wasianze kushtuka, oh my God, na watch cartoon. Am I supposed to? No, anajua time ya watch cartoon ni fulani. Yeah. So the same thing with policing a country. I feel like if we can be more friendlier to the public will be more open to us, or rather to the police. I feel like I'm already a police officer.
Okay. The Mr.
Public,
Police.
The public will be more open to officers. Crimes will be reported better because there are people who would like to go and report a crime, but you're afraid that you might go and report this crime and end up being a suspect. Yeah, or you might go and report a crime and end up being asked for a bribe for this crime to be done to be taken care of.
Well,
yeah. So let's have a better police force. Me, I'm not an expert in policing. We shall have experts here when the time is necessary, but I feel like we can approach issues differently to have better outcomes.
Well, yeah. Let me also agree with you. It's important. We just need to just strike a balance. Also, on this other side, we all strike a balance. On other news, Mungala, the cabinet has approved a bill aimed at reforming the leadership of state corporations by introducing merit-based appointments to end political patronage. Wow. Yeah, the cabinet has approved a bill aimed at reforming the leadership of state corporations by introducing merit-based appointments to end that political patronage.
But I thought that was the case from the beginning.
No. No. That one now, I will tell you, no. These most of these have been appointments ambazo zinakuwa ni political. Yeah. Inakuwa ni vitu zenye zinakuwa pale political.
Well, we know like in state corporations, we see directors being appointed every now and then.
Yeah.
We know those are political appointments because you supported the president at one point during his campaigns, and you were probably even asking for a certain seat yourself. You wanted to become MCA or MP, or you wanted to become senator, governor, and you never got that position. But now, after the president assumes office, Triciah is appointed, I don't know, the managing director of a state corporation.
Yes.
We've seen that happening. Political appointments.
These are political appointments. And what I'll tell you, Mbuvi, for sure, if this bill is passed, I think this issue of losses, these state corporations always making losses. They are using part of they are using our tax, the taxpayers' money, because they are usually allocated a budget, but then most of the time they are just doing losses every now and then, coming back to the government to be financed, but yet there is nothing. Unajua hata kama you're not making any profit. I know they're not meant to make profits, of course, but at least don't make losses.
What I don't understand, for example,
be at break even, like the monies that you are given, be able to operate in a manner that you're not just always making losses.
What I don't understand is, for instance, you will find. Let me just take an example of Kenya Power and Lighting Corporation. Kenya Power is the only sole provider of electricity
in our country.
Yes, apart from, of course, the few solar companies that will install solar. Like if you're joining the grid, it's only Kenya Power. How Kenya Power sometimes just makes the kinds of losses that it makes, and Mara, they say they don't have enough funds for transformers, and I'm like, but you're the only guys giving us power. It's not like at Sasa there's another company that is doing better than you in terms of providing that power. So how they make I just don't get it. Do you know in the States, the US, how many companies can provide power just in a particular region? Let's even say in a place like Nairobi, because America has got very many states. So let's even say the state of California. You'll find sometimes even over 20 companies providing power.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're talking about grid power. See solar power. Ile me connected to the grid. Over 20 companies. So you have like over 20 companies to choose from. Go to a place like New York. You'll find sometimes even 30, 40, 50 companies providing power. So you literally have got choices you can make. Ukichoka na Kenya Power leo, unachukua Kenya Electricity kesho. Kikubo, unachukua Kenya Lighting Company. And for them it works. There's a time I was there. I was in Boston. We never lost power. Yani unajua Kenya, it is so normal to lose power that it doesn't even like hata zikienda mshtukangi sana. Kwanza mnaangalianga ni saa ngapi imeenda, because there are those days that the outage is scheduled na mnajuanga leo stima zinaweza zimwa. So even mnaenda kwa website ya Kenya Power mwangalie leo mlolongo kwa stima zilikuwa zipotee. You understand?
So stima zijai kupotelea here in Kenya,
and it's normal.
You are like the all day. You are mteja. You don't even akula kitu kwa nyumba yako. You just don't know what is not happening. And again, also that also reminds me of that time when stima zilienda the whole country. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember even the mortuaries. mortuary attendants started complaining. Yeah, kwa sababu hiyo stima ilipotea for how long?
It was like almost a day or two.
Yeah, hospitals unapata madawa zinaharibika and so forth. So it's usually chaotic, and I think, like you're saying, competition will always push you to do what you're supposed to do most of the time, because I think Kenya, because it is only monopoly providing power in our country, so that is the reason why, because hata msipochukua hii stima yetu somehow we'll need it,
and that is why when Justina
mtaenda kwa nani tena, it is only here.
Yes, when Justina Wamai said that perhaps we need to privatize some of the companies' HR arms or branches, it might make sense, so that now we can stop this political appointments, so we can get the best suited person for a specific position.
Me, I support this proposed bill. Yeah, it could just be one of the best, because there's a time I was asking, because you're looking at these state corporations, you're looking at these government-owned agencies and companies, and you're like, why are they all of them?
Yeah.
We are just always talking of losses, we're just talking of things are not working. Why?
It is because
can't those people employed there, can't the management there, can't... Kwani
shida
iko wapi?
Have you noticed that there are some companies that are performing very badly because of, let's say, even that political appointment? Then when they decide to go private, suddenly the company is performing very well.
Yeah.
And you start asking, lakini, kwani, what's the difference? It is because, you see, a HR personality, a HR practitioner rather, will not hire someone who is incompetent.
Yeah.
You send in your CV for any job, and the one thing they tell you in the requirements, for example, is they're looking at your experience. Number two, they're looking at any if you may have be having any say legal issues. So if you've ever been caught in a crime, whether it's a crime against gender violence or a crime where you've been caught in a corruption case, you won't get that particular job. But here in Kenya, when we are electing politicians, I think we just go for the worst of the worst. So if we could have like a HR policy where HR wanasema sasa wacha to appoint, let's appoint a president for you, I think Kenya would be having very good what is it called, economic developments, if we were just to follow like a HR policy. Na tuseme tutachagua tu mtu mwenye akona track record mzuri, mtu hajai kwa any kind of scandal, mtu hajai kwa noma yoyote. We might find ourselves having very good leaders.
So ni kwa sababu ni serikali, hii ni serikali. Aniambia nini? This is mtu anakuambia hii ni serikali. So they don't care about their performance, they don't care about their output, and that is why we find most of these corporations wako tuna losses, na ndio tunafikiria kwenda ko privatize. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into traffic for a second. Let's find out which roads are moving and which ones are literally stuck where you are.
Traffic.
Like I told you, if you're heading towards if you're coming from Mulolongo, heading towards this place called Town, there's a huge traffic jam if you're approaching JKIA. Why? Because there's a police roadblock there, and things are not moving at all. I don't know who they're looking for, if they're looking for like a specific individual, or they're just doing some kind of security operation. We're not sure, but yeah, there's a lot of traffic there. Getting into town using the same road, traffic looks like it has eased up. I guess it's because of that particular situation at JKIA, and that is why perhaps you guys are moving on the rest of the roads, because zile gari nyingi zinatoka kule mbali kidogo hizo zimefungiwa barabara, and that is why that road is probably not moving right now. But I'm looking at the rest of the roads, things are looking good. If you're coming from this is where Ngong Road, things are looking fantastic for you heading into the Nairobi CBD. Thika Road, sisikioto complain huko. I'm assuming everything is fantastic on your end.
Easily right now pia bado vitu ni shwari kabisa. Everything is just quite okay moving, just except ukiingia town pale Kariako roundabout, that is where we have problems. Jogoo Road, I'm also told that everything is quite okay. Outer Ring Road, I can see everything is quite okay. But just ukiingia town, I think that is where problem I'm seeing little problems most of the roads, and then all the way to Mombasa lights Kengeleni kwa sasa traffic tu kidogo you understand, ni kwa sababu ya polisi na the lights, and then the ferry 4 channels operating, everything okay for now. So you you're okay if you leave your house right now.
All right, so that's the traffic update. If there's anything on the roads you think we should know, please, why don't you find us on our social media channels, and we shall definitely relay that to the rest of the world.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right, so we are still having this conversation around what is happening in the country, and of course we're giving you stories coming from all over the country, all over the world actually, on rgk.co.ke. So let us know where you're tuned in from, and we shall definitely give you a shout out. Now, what are we saying? Another situation that could be going on here is the fact that the Media Council urges safety press freedom ahead of Gen Z protests anniversary. This is also on our website, and this is what it says. Journalists have called on police and protesters to respect press freedom and guarantee their safety during Wednesday's Gen Z protest anniversary, warning against any form of intimidation or violence targeting media professionals covering the nationwide demonstrations. All right, so MCK, Media Council of Kenya, is asking that we respect the fourth estate. They are just there to collect news, to collect what is happening. So this one is to the police and the goons.
Yes.
Because we have seen incidences where the police end up attacking the press, whether knowingly or unknowingly, I don't know. Staki ni watete. But tafadhali, today, ukiona mtu ameshikilia kamera, ukiona Larry Madowo huko nje, tafadhali wachana na I remember the time Larry Madowo alirushiwa tear gas. I don't know.
Not even him alone. We are seeing almost every now and then we are seeing journalists wakirushiwa tear gas. The other day tumeona wengine wananyang'anywa mpaka cameras. You get so because people feel that the journalists are a threat to them. Just because we are just there to report. By the way, we are just there to capture things as they are.
Yes.
And letting people know what is happening. So if you know you're doing the right thing, why are you fearing the camera?
Exactly. So this one is to the goons and to the police.
Just everyone. If you know you're doing the right thing, unaogopa camera.
Exactly.
Let the journalists do their work. Our work is to report, and I'm telling you, you need to appreciate the work of the journalists. There are so many things about Mbuvi that could not have been. We could not be where we are right now as we speak
had it not been for the fourth estate.
Yes, for the fourth estate has really played a very big role in terms of your issues to do with your freedom, issues to do with democracy. Kama kungekuwa hakuna media, I'm telling you, tungekuwa tuko mbali sana. So do appreciate the work that the media does, and call them the support they need, the security that they need. It is important.
All right, I want us to get into the newspapers right now. I have the Star and the Daily Nation. You can grab those ones as I tell you what is happening on the Standard newspaper. Hapa mbele wanasema aluta continua. Now a nation bleeds. What began as a cry against punitive taxes erupted into the country's deadliest protest wave in decades. From the brutal killing of 29-year-old Rex Masai to the execution-style shooting of 12-year-old Kennedy Onyango, police turned guns on an armed youth demanding justice, dignity, and a future. Over 60 confirmed dead, hundreds injured, dozens disappeared, and still not a single officer held to account. A year later, promises remain hollow, grief festers, and the Gen Z movement stands as a defiant indictment of a regime that met courage with bullets and silence with lies. This story is on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, on the very front page there of the Standard, we have a couple of photos of individuals who are believed to have died during this particular protest. One very prominent figure there you will see is Rex Masai, who was, I think, like the first person to have been discovered, or rather to have met his demise during last year's protest. We have Denzel Omondi, Chris Mureithi, Sami Maina, Eric Shieni, Evans Karobi, Shakil Obienge, Kennedy Wakini, Austin Makoha, Erickson Mutesia, Ibrahim Kamau. 60 individuals have been identified. Actually, according to this paper, 63 deaths have been registered since the protests began last year.
Well, this is all. This is the same news that is in all the other newspapers. We have the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation, as we remember the ones that we lost. This is the title of the biggest story. the ones we lost, and we are seeing photos of the Gen Zs, the young people we lost. I'm seeing the photo of Rex Masai, just so many of them. That is on the daily newspaper, and on the Star newspapers still on the same is that the big test for Ruto, police over demos, and 1 year on, bullets, blood and tears on pages 4 and 5. Still we have the photos of the people, the young people we lost during the 2024 Gen Z protests. So it is a test, like the Star is saying. It is a big test for the president over the police Ruto. Police over demos that police boss warns against attempt to access Parliament and State House, on story on page 6. Warning against attempt to access Parliament and State House.
Now, just to mention how a few of these individuals met their demise, and of course we in advance pass our condolences to the families, and in advance just say pole sana, because we would hate to recount these stories, but for the sake of this country, we'll just have to mention a few, right? So, for example, here there's Credo Oyaro. The 17-year-old was shot in the head in Eldoret and died at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. 17-year-old shot in the head. A 17-year-old, I'm sure kijana hakuanga na bunduki. I'm sure kijana hakuwa na ubaya na mtu yote. Yeye alikuwa anaenda kupiga kelele tu kama Wakenya wenzake. Akisema mali shida zake zina mali kiatu chake kinamfinya. We have Kennedy Onyango, only 12 years old. Kennedy was shot in the back, known for his artistic talent and aspirations to visit the US. His death caused public outrage. An autopsy revealed he died from a single long-range bullet wound. 12-year-old.
I remember.
Long-range bullet wound.
It was from Kibra, right?
This one, they have not said where he is from, according to this story. Yes, they haven't mentioned where.
I can remember the young boy, and I can remember the story. Then as it was being reported, as it happened,
There's Franklin Ondwari. His body was found hanging from a rope in an abandoned toilet in Ngumo Estate in Nairobi. A postmortem confirmed that he died from strangulation, but his mother, Dailene Sabina, says that she spoke to him at approximately 6:45 p.m. and he told her that he had been arrested while heading home from work. Later, the family was told that he had been released late that particular night, only for him to be found dead.
Hanging.
Imagine hanging. Yeah, they have not mentioned his age. Abdikadir Ayub Kadir died at the Kenyatta National Hospital after being shot. I remember this story. It was really been ilifuatiliwa sana. Yeah, by the time he was coming to lose his life, I mean, a couple of prominent Kenyans had visited him in hospital before he lost his life. And then there's Shakil Obienge. The 21-year-old from Obede village in Kisumu County was shot dead in Kitengela. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on, but this is crazy. This is very crazy. And we're hoping today, it's only 18 minutes to the top of the hour. We are hoping that today, yani, by the time tunamaliza siku ya leo, tafadhali. And hili ni ombi kwa askari wetu. Arrest as many people as you can if you have to engage protesters. Na unaona watu wanafanya uhalifu. Even the goons. Just don't shoot anybody. Arrest. Adhali kesho kotini tujipate tuko na watu 1000. Tunangoja kwa kesi zao zisikizwe. As opposed to waking up to even one dead Kenyan. Yes.
Avoid the use of the gun. Let's use the gun against the enemy to the country. Not against our very own Kenyans whom we are supposed to protect. And also, like we have been saying, Mungala. Let's all avoid that provocation. Do not provoke. You know, this provoking causes it's one that causes that emotional imbalances, and that's how people end up doing things they regret later. I'm sure these people do regret later. Sometimes.
You think so?
Yeah, I do think so. Sometimes somebody just does something and they're like, later najuliza guy, why did I pull the trigger? Why did I?
Do you think that conscience finds them later on?
Yeah, I think it does happen. Let me tell you something. You know, a life of a human being is sacred. Sawa.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who forced you to do it. It doesn't matter what condition made you do that. Later on, you're gonna regret, and later on, this is gonna eat you up.
I feel like let me call them these killer squads. I feel like someone who's out there and they have decided, yani, this is my career path. Mi kazi yangu itaka kumaliza watu. Because I don't think everybody in the police force is like that.
Well, I'm telling you.
Maybe a few, there's that trigger happiness kanaweza kakuingia one moment now. Ufiatwe tu risasi yako, end up killing someone else. Maybe that person will end up regretting later.
Later you will regret.
But the ones that come and abduct you from your house, then later on we find you hanging from a house in Ngumo or a tree in Ngong Forest or Karura Forest for that matter. House then wanakuanga na conscience.
I'm telling you, even if they don't have, somehow later in future, you know, you're gonna ask yourself, right now I'm a young man, maybe I'm a young police, I'm working, na mimi ndo natambulika kufanya hizi vitu. You get? Later on, I'm telling you, this is gonna catch with you.
Yeah.
Later on, this is gonna eat you up.
Maybe uniambie, when you're retired, you're now a retired officer. Umezeeka, you're now probably, staring death in the face. Especially
when you are doing it to innocent people.
Yeah.
You get? Innocent people, I'm telling you, it is not just a matter of sa ile wewe unaenda kukufa. Even your family.
Yeah.
Things will just fall apart. Yeah, even in your family, because when you're taking an innocent life, ebu ask yourself, like, kwani God ajui kama mtu alikuwa anatakiwa kuishi?
Ni kweli.
So it is just very important, like, let us not allow ourselves to be, if you have to, ebu kamata mtu mpeleke kule ndani, nao tupige kesi, you ulipatikana unataka kuiba. You get, because imagine if you are armed and me I do not have anything, like Nico tu ni kama the other Boniface, he's just holding mass, alafu tu unanipiga tu unapiga, you pull the trigger. Yeah, so I think some of these things unajipata, like I have been saying, kind of with emotions. Kuna tu kitu inaenda, so unajua hizo pressures zikikuja, then unajipata kwamba you cannot control yourself. You just pull the trigger where you were just supposed to just capture that person. Mpeleke, mweke kwa gari, kwa lori huko.
I've never killed, so I will not speak on behalf of the people who do it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know, but it's my feeling that they don't. You wanna tu kama watu, at the end of the day they'll just go home, sleep, call it a night.
It is never, I'm telling you, I've never killed also, but I can tell. I can tell, because life is sacred. Wacha tubaki na hiyo kwamba a human being's life is sacred.
Haya. If you move on to page 4 of the newspaper, it says, this is the Standard, it says that police maimed and killed Gen Z protesters calling out the ruling elite. Whereas the number of those who died has not been confirmed. Estimates put it to more than 60, and the protests began with a call for the government to stop overtaxing citizens.
This is Radio General.
And I remember our guest yesterday, Mr. Joachim Simeo. Joachim alisema kitu kimoja. He said that this economic situation that the country is facing is what is making Kenyans, be in the situation that they are right now. He said that the youth just want better jobs or more job opportunities, more business opportunities. Imagine if everyone had something in their pocket. Tungekuwa tunasema yenyewe serikali inafanya kazi. You understand? And that is why, according to Joachim, a country or a population that is not economically empowered, when they're in the streets just idling, jobless corner venye tunapendanga kuita, wakiwa hivyo jabaration, that is when they find, the opportunity to do some of those things that, they want to do. Like, for example, if the youth had jobs today, no one would be calling for protests, because no one will show up. No one will be calling for commemoration, because no one will show up. People are busy. Who wants to leave their place of work where they're making, 1,000 or 2,000 or even 10,000 shillings a day to go and start kupiga kelele kwa tu sawa?
Kazi mitaani. Sema kama kazi mitaani zirudi it's important.
Kazi mtaani like Justina was saying kazi useless at you do kwenda kufagia barabara. Like I say people need proper jobs. Proper jobs. You know?
And
permanent and pensionable kind of jobs.
So it's now upon the government. If you want these things to end, it's upon the government come up with policies that are working for the economy of this country. Policies that are geared towards working on the economic democracy, economic empowerment, even to the young people. I think that is quite important. But the other day, the president always talks of the youth. Kuna kazi zimepatikana, the youth wamewekwa huku, kuna hii. What happens? Kwa nini youth wagani?
Youth wako na kuna, of course hawezi pata kazi wote. You know, the youth population in this country is more than 50%. And if we're being honest, the government can't provide
can't employ all
those millions and millions of the youths. And that is why we need to focus on one thing, guys, and that is entrepreneurship. Mimi, for instance, nilienda university nikafanya biotechnology. Lakini says I don't practice biotech. I think I've actually forgotten some of those things. If I were to go to a class today and I just get a random exam paper, I will fail terribly. I might just remember how to write my name. But the rest zitanipita hivyo tu. And I'm not saying that education was useless. No, I think we even spoke about education here sometime last week, and we said it is important to go through education, and especially tertiary education, because there are things that you learn. But the most important thing that the youth need to understand is entrepreneurship. If you studied biotechnology and you're getting out here and you're realizing there are no jobs, usife moyo. It is okay to, call the government and ask the government, hey bana, mulini train in biotech. Now I need a job in this. But do not rely on that 100%. Think about how you can either start your own business in the particular field that you studied, or how you can collaborate with other people in the same field.
Well, someday, I talked to some young people, and this is what they told us, that hawa viongozi, every day they are telling us, nendeni mwanzishe biashara. They are forgetting hiyo biashara inataka uwe na capital. So na pia wanasema these people, most of these leaders ambao wamefika ile umri wanafaa kuwa wameacha kazi, wengine unaona bado wanakuwa recycled, they are still just there. These are opportunities they should also give to the young people. Unaona, because ukiangalia ile population, especially watu ambao working in the government, I think we need to look for that population, those people who have worked for the government even for a long time. There are so many. Hatusemi hivyo tuwanyang'anye kazi watu mmekuwa mkiandikwa na serikali, but there are some policies that should be put in place. Kuna tu njia zinatakiwa ziwekwe, ile msikuwe sasa mnashinda mnaambia vijana wa create waende wafanye biashara. You people mume work pale, you have capital, you have money. Create those businesses, employ these young people also. It is also important.
There's a country called Liechtenstein. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I always have trouble pronouncing that name, but it's called Liechtenstein, I think. It's next to Austria and next to Switzerland. Now this country has got a population of 40,000. Population yao yote
only 40,000. Yes,
and half of that population comes into the country every morning and leaves in the evening. Do you know why? A lot of the workers in that country come from Switzerland and Austria and other countries surrounding it. Liechtenstein, let me continue calling it that way, but I hope you guys know which country I'm talking about. You can Google it. It is the 6th smallest country in the world. So Liechtenstein, watu kitu wako nayo, the biggest resource they have, because they don't have oil, they don't have natural gas. The only thing that they have is their brains. Those guys have innovated stuff. For example, some of the most widely used dental products in the dentistry, whatever, world or industry, comes from the people who it's a company that is originally from Liechtenstein. So if Sisi, in a country where we are 50 million, and by the Liechtenstein,
you just say that country.
Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is one of the richest countries on earth. Because also the king and the actually they are ruled by a prince. The prince and the princess in that country, they own one of the biggest banks in the world. You get? And these people, they just got into entrepreneurship because they said, look guys, sisi wenyewe, we can't even create jobs inside here. Azita tutosha. And that is why even people from Austria and Switzerland come in every morning, they work, and then they go back to their countries. So you can imagine, by the time 5 o'clock in Africa, that country has divided, literally lost half of its population back into their mother countries. So what am I trying to say? In a country where we have 55 million Kenyans, why are we unable to innovate? Why are we unable to just think beyond our borders? Hii story, na sisemi tu serikali ifai kutusaidia, but guys, tuacheni kuangalia serikali. Serikali yes inafaa, but I'm saying tuacha kuangalia serikali. Because serikali haizi katusaidia all 55 million
all of us. We are many.
And I'm not telling you to go to Uganda, but if you can go to Uganda and find a job there, go. If you're like me, if you've done your biotechnology and you're really good in biotech, there are countries that are looking for biotechnologists. There are countries that do not have the expertise. They don't even offer that course in their universities. And I'm sure if you look out there, how to course, you might be good in I don't know, computer science. Right now the world is heading towards the digital landscape. Why can't you just think in that direction? And me, that's why I say education is very important. Tuache kukaa hapa tukisema ati mazoe mimi si mtu wa kusoma, mimi masomo ili nikataa. Si atuongeje uende ufanye hesabu. Atusemi uende ufanye biology ama medicine ama law, but there's something you can go and learn, and you can innovate in that particular field, and you can be an entrepreneur in that particular field. Kuna watu shinanga TikTok day in day out. Sisemi ni vibaya, but can you just spend better time on the internet?
Yeah,
teaching yourself things,
especially the young people.
Yeah.
You know, they are the ones who have they are good at technology.
Yes.
Yeah, wamesoma tu unaweza pata ule hata hajaenda shule. They are good, they can operate a smartphone quite okay. They can get access to so many things. Let us use our time on internet to do constructive things, by the way, things that can also help us. By the I've seen another friend of mine, let me tell you, this guy has done issues to do with finance. And I'm telling you, right now he's working for a bank. And do you know, he taught himself the issues to do with computer science through the internet.
Yeah.
That guy taught, yani alisoma kwa internet, issues to do with computer science. And right now, he's coming up with systems that the bank, currently one of the best banks in the country, they are using. Imagine.
Yeah.
Now, you know, he was telling me, we have these young people wa shule, unapata mtu all the time anashinda kwa TikTok, TikTok will work for some other people, it may not work for you.
Yes.
So you look at areas where you can do good, you can do better, so that you can just better yourself. Unaweza kufanya kitu, kuna some of these courses, most of them zinasoma tu kwa online. Soma, tafuta kitu ya kufanya.
Yeah.
For those of you who want to be employed by the government, of course tunajua kuna watu wanafaa ku retire. They are supposed to retire. We wish them all the best as they retire. So na tunaomba tu serikali pia, well, katika hizi employments, angalieni young people. It is just very important. It's so frustrating when somebody goes to school and maliza like haezi kupata kazi, you know.
But you see, the thing is, also the young people nowadays, employing them is a problem. They don't want to work. Sometimes they want easy jobs, and those easy jobs are not available. We also have issues where the older generation is kizani na the younger generation. So mnapatana kwa ofisi na your senior or superior is probably in her late 50s. Huo ni mtu bana ataki stress zingine unakuja kumletea hapa kama Gen Z. You understand? So there's that disconnect. But I wanted to say something. There's something called YouTube University. There's so much you can learn on YouTube, from cooking to even doing mechanics. You can learn even masonry. Sometimes you don't have the money to go to even a TVET. Let's just be honest about it. Yeah,
true.
Yeah, unakosa hata pesa, hata bus fare. Hata ukipatiwa hiyo admission to that TVET, chances are you won't have bus fare to go to that TVET every day. But you always kosa bundles. Imagine, just get on the internet every day. As you're going through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram and X, please, jipende pia and learn something on the interwebs. Yeah. So as we come to the close of this particular hour, I just want to let you know that in the next hour we shall be hosting one Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. Fanya Mambo Kinuthia is a lawyer.
Yeah.
But he's also a very amazing political analyst.
Yes.
Yeah, I watch his clips and I'm like, he gives things from a different perspective. I was watching a clip from last week, where he was talking about how political parties fund their candidates in various spaces, from the MCA to the MP, Senate, governor, and even president. And he was saying that we as Kenyans, we don't like even funding the people that we have grown with from our own hood. So una expect Triciah anataka kukua mwanabunge wa sehemu yako, lakini hutaki kumsupport hata na fedha. You'd rather support that goon, because that goon, by the way, has already gotten support from other people. You know what? Actually, when he comes here, I'll ask him that question, so that he can elaborate better than I am right now. So thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you're going to be staying with us until that particular hour and the hour after that one. Let us know your feedback. Find us on Radio Gen KE across all our social media spaces, and on YouTube as well. We are live. You can comment down there on our video, and we shall definitely give you that shout out. Right now, though, I think it's time for the news. So yeah, watch out for news or what's happening in the country.
It's 6:59.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio.
It's 7 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, has warned protesters taking to the streets today not to access protected areas. In a public statement, Kanja said the police will uphold Kenyans' right to peaceful protest but will not tolerate any action that breach the law, threaten public safety, or target protected areas. Kanja reaffirmed that the police will operate independently and be guided by the Constitution. He also called on protesters to avoid provoking officers during the execution of their duties.
The Constitution, under Article 37, guarantees every person the right peaceably and unarmed to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, and to present petitions to public authorities. Also, the Public Order Act, Cap 56, Section 5, Paragraph 1, 2, and 3 requires that such assembled persons should cooperate and coordinate with the police.
The High Court has been asked to deny bail to 6 suspects, including Central Police Station OCS Samson Talam and Constable James Mukwana, who are charged with the murder of blogger Albert Ojwang. The Director of Public Prosecutions, represented by Senior Assistant DPP Duncan Ondemu, told the court the suspects face a possible death sentence, making them flight risk if released. The prosecution argues that Talam has already shown disregard for lawful authority and is likely to submit to the jurisdiction of the court. The DPP also warned that the suspects could threaten public order and undermine the ongoing investigations. The government has moved to intensify the fight against substance abuse among young people with the adoption of a new national policy aimed at prevention, control, and rehabilitation. During a cabinet meeting chaired by President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi, the cabinet approved the National Policy on Prevention of Alcohol, Drugs and Substance Abuse 2025. The Ruto government describes the policy as comprehensive and multi-sectoral framework designed to curb the growing crisis of alcohol and drug abuse in the country. Ahead of today's protest, a section of Kenyan's business owners say they will not participate, arguing that the demonstrations meant to honor the victims of June 2024 protest will only disrupt their businesses. Here are some of those who spoke to Radio Generation.
Mimi naitwa Michael John Juma. Mimi ni conductor wa 18C. Maandamano imechangia pakubwa sana, hasa wiki iliyopita. Hakuna kazi ilikuwa inafanyika hapa. Ulikuwa unapata gari yenye inaweka 3,000 inarudi kuweka shilingi 1,000. Unapata mshahara hakuna. So naenda kwa nyumba na shilingi 200.
Mimi nakuaga kwa hii kinyozi. Maandamano ndio imeharibu mambo yote baba. Siku ile hakukuwa maandamano, tuseme ni hiyo miaka ingine ya mbele kulikuwa kuzuri sana. Hata nilikuwa napata pesa hapa, hata sikuwa naenda pale pengine.
Jina langu naitwa Violet Kabugwe. Mimi nauza mahindi, mimi support maandamano.
The family of blogger and activist Ndiangui Kinyagia is now demanding answers following the disappearance of their king, with reports indicating he had been abducted by unknown persons. According to lawyer Wahome Thuku, Kinyagia was last seen on Monday of Saturday, June 21st, 2025. His phone went off and has remained unreachable, with family and friends unable to trace him. On Monday morning, the family reported his disappearance at Kinoo police station and were issued with occurrence book number. Here's Kinyagia's mother, Margaret Wamaitha.
My son, his phone is always on, and then hata namfuataga sana hata kwa Twitter. Nikaona hata his Twitters, they were off. Zile zilikuwa ni zile alikuwa ameweka the other day. So I knew something was very wrong. So nikipigia marafiki wake, hakuna mtu anajua pahali yuko. Hey, that's when we found what happened, the drama. And those people, the neighbors, they didn't have my number. So they didn't know who to contact, anybody.
That's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
There was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed, we are the home of hard truths and bold insights. My name is Mungala, Mbuvi, and this is Radio Generation. We are on 88.8 in Nairobi, rgk.co.ke in actually all over the world. So if you're anywhere close to an internet connection and you'd like to listen to Radio Generation, please, rgk.co.ke is a place to be.
Our people from Mombasa, 90.7, from Malindi, 92.1, from Lamu, 92.6, then all the way to Garissa, 89.5. You want to follow us on our social media pages, please do so. Radio Generation, that is on Facebook, Radio Generation Kenya on Facebook, and then Radio Gen KE on Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, just everywhere. Even you can also follow us on our website, that is on www.rgk.co.ke. There you're gonna find all the news that you need to know.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna get all the conversations that we are doing here, conversations that are geared towards shaping the policies of this country.
Speaking of which, this particular morning we want to focus on State House and the allocation that State House rather has gotten because of the new finance bill, and we also want to talk about the austerity measures we feel or we think should have been implemented there. State House has already received a lot of funding for their you know, what is it called, renovation and other, you know, like recurring expenditures and so on and so forth, and they are receiving a lot of money. So we want to understand kwani ni nini inafanyikanga State House yenye hatujui, and that is why we have lawyer and do I say governance expert as well, or political analyst, Mr. Fanya Mambo Kinodia. Fanya Mambo, good morning. Yeah, how are you doing? Is that loud?
Yes.
Ingoe tu, sijalinda kusotia baadaye.
Okay.
Unaweza ingoa. But yeah, have you been? It's been a long time since the last time I saw you.
A very good morning to you.
Yeah.
I am okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's an honor.
Karibu sana.
And it's a big privilege.
Yes.
It's a beautiful studio. You guys have a very beautiful studio.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Asante sana.
Yes.
The last time I saw you was a long time ago when I was still doing TV.
Yes, I remember. Uko.
And here you are on Radio Generation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Awesome. I see a lot of stuff happening online, and you're always at the forefront of those conversations.
Yes.
There's something I saw last week. I don't know if you had posted it last week or a long time before.
Yeah.
You were talking about the way Kenyans don't support their do I call them their local leaders? Ama unajua ule best yako umegrow na yeye mwenye ungependa maybe akwe your MCA or MP. Maybe you can just elaborate on that for a second before we get into this whole State House issue.
Thank you. I think what I was trying to tell Kenyans is this, and it's extremely important that we have that conversation. The people who we think are probably social misfits, the people who sell drugs, the people who sell weapons, the people who import things we shouldn't import into this country. The LGBTQ community, the Freemasons,
the drug dealers,
even the devil worshippers. Yeah, sometimes do have meetings. The people who run casinos, and they have meetings and decide we are going to have members of parliament who are going to push our agenda. Some even decide that we are going to have a governor, we are going to have a senator, we are going to have MCAs to push our agenda.
Yes.
And once they are done with that decision, they put their money behind those candidates. They literally go out there and say we are putting in 500,000, 200 million, whatever amount of money is towards financing those candidates.
Yeah.
And they do everything so that once parliament is constituted and once the governors are counted, they can say Governor Fulani ni wetu ni wa drugs.
Yeah.
Senator Fulani ni wetu, MP Fulani ni wetu. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
That their agenda is always being spoken about out there in our spaces of leadership. Now, on the other hand, we have the church that is an important stakeholder in this country.
Yes.
What does the church do? They take away. Every time a politician comes to church, kuna harambe, kuna mujengo, tunataka tank, tunataka kisima, tunataka maji, tunataka seats, tunataka tiles. We have very many good candidates who never make it to parliament.
Yeah.
Because we who mean well for this country
right.
have not put our money behind the good candidates.
Okay.
And it's a high time we all come together and kind of senator that we want to see. Who is that guy? And we all come together and put our money behind that candidate, because it is your good candidate against a candidate backed by drugs money. And the candidate backed by drugs money is running a prolific campaign. He's dishing out money, he's dishing out t-shirts, he's doing all sorts of things, and he becomes an MP. Right. What agenda is he pushing in parliament? You people are busy here setting up rehabilitation centers. What for? Why allow the drug dealers to have their own members of parliament and then start running rehabilitation centers for your children?
Yeah.
Why not wake up now and get the progressive leaders who will make sure that drugs are not being sold in this country?
Yeah. I think the question here is, okay, what do you think forces Kenyans to support, to recycle these people? Because majority of these people are just being recycled. Those people who are doing these things like the drugs and so forth, they are people we keep on recycling. Why do you think Kenyans recycle these people?
Again, I'll tell you, what usually happens is that those good candidates, unfortunately, most of the time don't have money. And sometimes when you don't have money and you're running a campaign, you look like you're confused. You actually look stupid, but you're not stupid. You're not silly, you're not incapable. It's just that because you don't have money and you're not appearing in a Prado in a campaign, people tend to think, kamutu kanatembea na NZD huku kataweza. And maybe there's sometimes you are required to even appear somewhere, even for an interview, and you can't fuel yourself. And they say, anaitwa interview anakataa kukuja. So let us have a very deep conversation about saying, wait a minute, whom do we want in parliament? And once we've decided whom we want in parliament, what can we do to make sure that they go to parliament? That takes away the rubbish out of parliament and puts in the good people in parliament. And I will challenge the church. You can't have the drug dealers putting their money behind a candidate and taking them to parliament. And you are church, mukiona mtu amekuja kwa kanisa, ni pesa munamuitisha. You are also important stakeholders in this country. We have to get to a point where we put money together, all of us, and decide tunakufa na fulani. Huyu ndio MP wetu. How there are only 290 seats. We just need to identify 290 good people.
How is it done in other countries? I don't know if you know, but how does it happen in other advanced democracies like the UK or Germany or even the US? Does the government fund these particular candidates, or candidates fund themselves? How does it happen?
Abroad, elections are not a do or die.
Okay.
In fact, our MPs are paid a lot more money compared to MPs in the UK, for example. We get a lot of money for our elected leaders. So for some people, it's an economic empowerment outfit. It's the only place to make money.
Yeah.
Being in parliament, sometimes it's not about leadership. If we fix this economy, I can tell you there are more than half of people who are in parliament who would never go to parliament. They never wanted to be leaders. Then we made their payments for members of parliament too high. In as much as I'm an aspiring member of parliament, if you ask me, I wish they even reduced that salary by a third or even by half. So now how make it less lucrative so that people know it's servanthood, it's serving, it's leadership. It's not an opportunity to enrich yourself and to become wealthy.
But how, because a lot of MPs will complain about the situation whereby even the money they're paid is not enough, because wakienda kwa ground, constituents take all that money away. Mara kuna mazishi hapa, mara kuna mtoto wangu anataka school fees, mara tujakula jana. So the MPs always dishing out money,
because they're dishing out money because they are foolish. Let me explain something.
Yes.
I once said something on 30th of January 2024 that really trended in this country. And I want anybody who can claim fame to that to tell me. I was the first Kenyan to speak about bursaries. When I said MP akona bursary, MCA akona bursary, and I explained it to the detail. And then it was followed by one of the senators, and I must respect him because he took it up and took it to Senate. Kiambu Senator Karongo Wadhangwa. He quoted me word for word, and he spoke about it in Senate very eloquently. And Senate began to see what was happening. By the time they were done with the discussion, they agreed that Kenya spends 104 billion on bursaries every year. Yet we spend 27 billion on free primary and secondary school education per year combined. Can you see the irony? The amount of money we spend on bursaries in this country can educate our children for 4 years what we spend in 1 year, because we allocate 27 billion to free primary and secondary education. On the 23rd of August 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, would declare that we need to have a national conversation about this, something that Fanyamambo brought to the limelight of this country. On 30th of April 2025, the Speaker of the National Assembly would select Junet Mohammed to head a committee of parliamentarians to discuss how we can move away from having these 104 billion being dished out by MPs to a situation whereby we take all that money and give it to the schools, and then education becomes free in this country. You as truly Fanyamambo Kinuthia, without occupying an elected office, is about to make education free for everybody in this country. Now, this member of parliament who was talking about giving handouts, the biggest harambes we have in this country are two. Medical and education only. So can you imagine that Kenya does actually have enough money to take every single child to school for free?
Is that up until university or just primary?
Primary and secondary.
Okay.
Those two. And by the way, we can even do up to university. Reason being, I told you we are spending 10 billion on free secondary school capitation and 17 billion on free primary education. In total, 27 billion. So if we have 104 billion, it means that covers up to the university students. And I'll make you even more interested. I come from Dagoretti constituency, Dagoretti South, where we have a photo expert. And one of the things that happens is you see these people coming and saying that we gave 5,000 checks. And I'm like, pause. Just pause it right there. You gave 5,000 checks, they're 3K each. Do you know if you took a check right now to your bank, the check processing fee is 120 shillings. So when you give 5,000 checks, Dagoretti South loses 600,000 shillings.
5,000 checks.
Yes.
Versus the 120 shillings. Yes.
Dagoretti South loses 600,000 shillings in check processing fees. Multiply that by about 300 constituencies just to be on the safe side, because kuna ngaf na nini. They are 290 but call it 300. So Kenya loses about 1.8 billion
in just processing fees.
In check processing fees. In fact, is it 1.8 or 18 billion? Just do the maths. So, and that happens every year. So what Fanyamambo was trying to say, and it's going to happen, is that the reason members of parliament feel that they need a big salary to go and dish out money is because their minds have not allowed them to think. And I can't blame them. If there's a limitation in how well you can think, it's a limitation that you can't do anything about. But their minds had not allowed them to see that our bursary was being spent in such a horrible way, and that so much money was going to the wrong places, and that if we stopped and said, wait a minute, we are not doing bursaries anymore, we are taking that money to school, every single child from Turkana all the way to Kwale would go to school for free. That alone takes away a lot of harambes in this country, a lot of handouts, and a lot of need for people to have a lot of money.
Well, I think what you're saying, it's not even a matter of their eyes are closed. But most of the time, we've always been saying here that when you see a system that is not working, there are people benefiting from that system that is not working. So when you say, like, you're saying their eyes were closed, it's not a matter of getting closed, because most of them at the time, they have used these bursaries and so forth for campaigns. You get?
On the contrary, it has worked against them. In every constituency, the number of people who apply for bursaries is 3 times those who get. So every time a member of parliament gives checks for bursaries, they make 2 times more enemies than they make friends. Because you have 4,000 applications, you can only give 1,500. It means 2,500 are saying alipeana na majuano, alipea watu wale wanajua, alipea watu wa village yao, alipea wale watu wanamkampainia. So you are better off not dishing out those checks, because always you're getting less money than you can actually be able to satisfy a constituency with. So we must, and let me, if you want to know there was a limitation on on the part of their ability to think about it, look at how much they celebrated. Sahi wanashainayo kwa all campaign rallies, but ask them what's the source. I'll tell you something else, if you allow me. I once went on TV somewhere and spoke about the money that was being given to first ladies. And people thought, fanya mambo. They told me, hata wife ya Uhuru alikuwa anapewa haukuongea. I told them, wait a minute. Wait a small second. So I decided to paint the picture of a city hopper driver. And I told them, have you ever seen a city hopper driver whose wife is paid by city hopper because he drives the bus? They told me, how is that possible? And I told them, why are we paying people we never voted for? Why are we paying for the first lady 700 million, yet we voted for the husband? And by the way, people look like it's a small thing. But when you give the first lady 700 million, the wife of the deputy president then was getting 700 million. And the wife of Mudavadi was getting 500 million. Now, that is 1.9 billion. Looks like 1.9 billion. But let me explain something to you. Nairobi has got 17 constituencies. Each constituency in Nairobi gets about 100 million in CDF. So what we were giving 3 million, we were 3 women, is a bigger amount than what we are giving the total 17 constituencies of Nairobi combined. So when you hear some MPs from Nairobi being said that they are the best MPs, best performing, and their CDF is just holding 100 million, but you can see schools, you can see very many things happening out of this 100 million. You as truly Fanyamambo Kinuthia took back into this economy 1.9 billion times 3 years. We took back about 5.7 billion. So it is what Nairobi has done in terms of development from CDF times 3. That is why these conversations are important. We have to speak about these things, and we have to make it very clear.
In your opinion, then, should the first lady or the first ladies, whether it's the deputy president or even the president and the prime cabinet secretary, they should just stay at home like the rest of Kenyan housewives and just take care of their husbands? Or should they, because I'm assuming the monies that they were allocated were for specific projects, maybe like Linda Mama, or just ensuring that they can what is it called, they can meet certain needs that the government doesn't necessarily focus on, so I don't know, what's your feeling on that one?
It's a very simple question that I'd like to ask everybody. Do we have Linda Mama in the US or in the UK or in every other place? The social health program, which is NHIF, was enough. Make it work. If it works, you don't need Linda Mama. All this other nonsense is working because we have people who do not understand what they are doing in office. So fix things and stop having a conversation about getting a first lady. Can you imagine now that Kenya is relying on you being married so that our women can be taken care of? What if we get a president who doesn't have a wife? It means hakuna Linda Mama. It means our wife will give birth at home. That cannot be allowed.
Yeah.
It must not be people centric. It has to be institutionalized.
Yeah.
So that even if the people, unajua kuna kanisa unakutanga ni kama success card, picha ya husband na wife.
Yeah.
Husband akikufa ama wife akikufa ama akiondokea haiko.
Yeah.
Let it be institutionalized in a way. Like, have you ever gone to a Catholic church and found the photo of the priest there? The priest is immaterial. This thing goes on in perpetuity whether that priest is there or not.
Yes.
Let us remove persons from what is going on and let us have systems.
Yeah.
So if you go, for example, to any Anglican church or Catholic church or Presbyterian church, it doesn't matter which priest dies today.
Yes.
That church goes on.
The service or mass will go on.
But hii maneno ati ni kanisa ya bibi na bwana ni success card, wakikufa kanisa imeisha. Those are the things we need now as a country to remove that thinking. I'm only bringing that analogy not to fight churches,
yes,
but to make people understand that the country cannot be run like that. The country has to be continuous regardless of who is there.
All right, let's get now back to the conversation that we wanted to have earlier on, and it's about State House. Yes. And the fact that State House currently has been allocated about 890 million, for renovation. Yeah. And I thought last year they were given about 4 billion for the same purpose. First of all, what is your take on that as we get deeper into that conversation?
First, I don't think I understand what's going on at State House. Maybe kuna affordable housing zinajengwa State House na hatujui. Because State House is in a constant state of construction. Ni manyundo tu uko kwa. The other day, I saw they allocated 1 billion for furniture. I asked myself, Uhuru must have been sitting on plastic chairs. Maybe 1 billion. Do you know what a billion is for furniture? Kwani kiti moja wananunua how much? Then unasikia state lodges zimepewa 600 million. Kenyans may not see what has been allocated to State House as if it's a lot of money.
Right.
But allow me to make you understand why it is a lot of money. This year alone, State House has been allocated 12 billion. Now, 12 billion, if you take a calculator, Kenyans, write 12, put 9 zeros after the 12.
Can we do that now?
Yes. Put 9 zeros because a billion has got 9 zeros.
So here's my calculator. So 12.
Yeah, put 9 zeros.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a huge figure.
Okay, I want us to divide that by 365 days.
Divided by 365.
Yes.
It comes to 32,876,712.
That is what State House is spending every day. 32 million. There is a useless institution from which Kenyans get zero benefit.
Yeah.
Getting 32 million every day. Divide that even to the hour by 24.
Just a second. So I divide what? Divide this one
32
by 24 hours.
Yes.
All right.
It's about 1.3 million.
So divided by 24
hours.
So it's 1.369 million.
So State House is spending 1.3 million per hour.
Doing what?
Now, I'll make it.
Wanachinja ng'ombe daily ama?
In fact, boda moja ni how much? Wacha tuipatie 130,000.
Yes.
Just divide. That's 1.3 million.
Yes.
Divide by 130,000.
Yeah. So let's divide that by 130,000. So that's 10 bodas.
So if we were to take the amount of money that is being spent on State House per hour, it would buy 10 bodas. So in a day, it would buy 240 bodas. That is how much money is being spent at State House. Now, let me explain it even deeper. This administration looked at your children, you Kenyans. We shall do the maths again.
Yeah.
And decided that for a whole year, watoto wenyu 10 million school-going children watapatiwa 3 billion for school feeding program. Now, take 3 billion, divide by 10 million children.
Right.
Let's do it.
Let's just do the math.
3 billion. A billion has got 9 zeros. Let us always remember.
So, was it what? 3 billion?
Plus 9 zeros there.
Uh-huh.
Let us divide by 10 million children.
Divided by 10, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 300.
300 what? That is 300 shillings allocated to per child per year. Now, I want you to assume that these children, during holidays, nanini, they only go to school for 200 days.
Yeah.
Acha tusipase it was opatie 365. Let's be fair.
Okay.
Divide by 200 days.
This
300 shillings. Yeah. 300 shillings has been allocated per child per year.
Okay, we divided by what? 12.
No. Let's just say the children are going to school only They are only going to school for 200 days.
Okay, so
they're not going to school for 365 days. Let's say they are going for 200 days. Tumetoa holidays zote. How much are we left with?
1.5.
Every child in Kenya has been allocated 1 shilling and 50 cents to eat per day. And then there are big tigers at State House allocating themselves 1.3 million shillings per hour.
Daily,
or
hour,
32 million shillings per day. How big is State House? What is the number of staff at State House? Compare that to 10 million children. And by the way, there was a discussion to reduce this money from 3 billion to reduced by 600 million school feeding program.
Yes.
That's what they wanted to do. Until some of us made noise about it. So we do not have a problem with State House getting 12 billion. But I have a problem with our children getting 3 billion. 10 million children getting each mtoto wako akule 1 shilling and 50 cents. Hiyo hata yezi nunua peremende ilikuwa inaitwa Patco. If you remember Patco, the white one.
Yeah.
So what are we feeding our children on?
So for example, the government has allocated, or rather Treasury has allocated, from 900 and I think 900 and something, million in terms of, just transportation costs to about 2.1 billion. Where are these people going for 2.1 billion?
It gets even better.
This is travel expenses alone.
It gets even better. They have allocated 2.3 billion for the renovation of Harambee House. Who goes to Harambee House? We have never seen our head of state operating from Harambee House.
That is his CBD office.
So 2.3 billion is just close to what we are feeding all our children on. And then they have allocated another 4.6 billion for Harambee House operations.
Maybe these buildings are really in a very bad state because I don't know if they've been renovated since independence.
I wish it had been allocated to the president's Land Cruiser. He spends more time there. On top of it, campaigning. Yeah, that it would make sense. But Harambee House, he doesn't go there. That is why we are saying we are a country of missed priorities. And that is why young people are going to the streets today. Our medical interns only needed 1.2 billion. Hakuna internship is not happening. But some old archaic building called Harambee House needs 2.3 billion. Yeah, renovation iko.
Yeah.
Office of the President. State House kuna pesa 900 million and another 1 billion, another 600 million for state lodges. Actually, if you were to take the total sums that are being allocated to things called state houses and state lodges,
yes,
it's a lot of money. The other day we were having a complaint and I yelled about it when they were saying that they were not going to allocate 6 billion for our children to do exams. And for the first time since independence, there is an administration that is waking up to the realization that watoto si lazima wafanye exams. After, how many years? You spend 4 years in a high school, you spend so many years to get to grade 6 kufanya KEPSEA, and then you are told that parents need to look for, and for some parents, 5,000 shillings the exam. 5,000 ikiwa imeshikana hivi hawajaona in a very long time.
It's a lot of money for them.
Yes. And then anaambua mtoto haezi fanya. So we made a lot of noise. And then accidentally they remembered to allocate 5.9 billion for exams.
But let me ask you, do you think our leaders do really listen?
No, they're insensitive, and I'll tell you why. If there was a way to go to parliament for me, and I pray that the people of Dagoretti South will make me their member of parliament, one of the first things we would do is to make sure we pass a law that says if you're a civil servant being paid by civil service servants money, for example, do you know why SHA is not working?
Why?
And I want our members of parliament who are saying it's working. The reason it's not working is because our members of parliament are not on SHA. They have a special medical cover for members of parliament that pays for them 10 million shillings in case they are hospitalized.
This is now a private insurance.
It is private.
Okay.
Why would they go for a private cover if SHA is working? Why don't we criminalize that private cover and say, wait a minute, because SHA is so perfect, we want our head of state only on SHA. We want our members of parliament only on SHA. We want all the top civil servants only on SHA. That other one must be banned because SHA is working. In fact, I'm here to support this administration and say SHA is working. That's why our MPs should be on SHA. The day we do that, na haikuwe hakuna ingine, I swear, SHA will start paying 5 million for you.
We were just talking with Triciah yesterday and the days past that. We were talking about SHA, and I told her that I know of individuals who've actually gone to Mathare National Hospital, they've gone to Kenyatta National Hospital, and they've and also some of the private hospitals, and they've gotten treatment. I know of one who was had a bill of about 160k at Kenyatta National Hospital. Bill was paid. I know of Mathare, another 70k bill was paid. The only thing they had to pay for was they bought kuna medicine apparently you have to buy from outside as far as Mathare is concerned, but it worked. So when we say SHA is not working, is it because it's not paying 5 million for medical care, or
I'll tell you why it's not working. It is not working because our members of parliament are not on it. If it was working, they wouldn't go for the private one. Abandon the private one. Let us all be equal. Let us all be on SHA. Do you know what will happen? SHA will become the best run. Do you know why our school system is not working? Because our members of parliament are immune to it. Their children don't go to public schools. My son is in a public school. They don't go to public schools. Why do they not go to public schools? Because public schools are not working.
They're underfunded.
If today we were to say that if you're a public servant, your child must go to a public school, akia nani utakuta Olympic Primary School iko na flashing toilet. Juu mtoto wa mheshimiwa kwa hiyo shule. If you want our schools to have flashing toilets, make sure that all our top civil servants must take their children to public schools.
Okay.
If we said that everybody who is being paid for money from public coffers must go to a public hospital, aki utakuta Kenyatta itaekwa tiles za white, zitaekwa usiku.
Well, is it the same case that you were just discussing here about state corporations? The election of members that right now they need to be, they say there's a bill that is being pushed in parliament to ensure that the election, the appointments are done on merits and not on political appointments.
Yes.
Is it the same thing? Because we are looking at how these leaders, how this management will go and manage these state corporations. Is it the same issue that you're gonna point out to these schools and the hospitals?
You see, there is value in merit. I keep telling Nairobians, you woke up one morning, there was Polycarp Igathe on the ballot, and there was Johnson Sakaja on the ballot. You ignored Polycarp Igathe, and people voted for Johnson Sakaja. A company called Tiger Brands or Tiger Foods took him up. Their budget is 5 times Nairobi City County budget, and the number of employees he manages is about 10 times more. He's doing excellently there. Kenyans, I don't know what is wrong with us and why we have a problem with merit. And most of the times the problems we have are the ones that look like us.
Is it because that perhaps it is these individuals that are unable to connect with the voter? Not that Igathe is a bad person. We don't know how he would have performed had he been, Nairobi governor. But we will never know until we vote him in. But what if maybe Igathe just doesn't connect with that Mama Mboga? Because at the end of the day, these are the guys who will hustle hard in the morning to come and vote for you.
He won't even connect. We don't even expect him to connect. There's no way we are going to connect.
So if he's unable to ask for that vote and convince this particular person why he needs her vote or his vote, so is that a voter problem or is that a leader's problem in terms of convincing me to vote for him?
I'll tell you what happens.
Yeah.
The way a Kenyan buys a shirt, a Maya shirt or a skirt from toy market, is more thorough than the way they vote. Anachukuanga shati anafanya hivi, anapima, anaangalia buttons, anaangalia hemming, anauliza hii ni mtush, ni ya UK ama ni ya US. They take so much time in buying a shirt. And when they want to hire a house help, they ask, nataka msichana amemaliza form 4, mwenye anaweza fanya CBC na mtoto wangu, mwenye anaweza fanya homework na yangu. When they come to voting for an MC or an MP, birth certificate is enough. We have not taken public coffers seriously. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That is why if someone is coming to my house to be my house girl, I want form 4. If someone is coming to manage public resources, birth certificate is enough.
I'll take
so
examples.
The problem is the voter. The problem is not the person presenting themselves, because this same voter has a very high standard for something that they think is very close to them, like a house help, but a very low standard for someone that they think is running public resources, because they don't think public resources are important.
Allow me to dwell on that point still. If we are looking for employment here at Radio Generation, me and you, and we come here and we present our CVs, we could both be very well qualified for this particular job, but perhaps I find myself in a better position to explain why I need that job. You could actually be even better than me in getting this particular job, or rather in performing the duties that this job requires. So if you're able to convince my employer that you need this job, and you and I am able to convince him or her even better, and I get that job, will we say that you are not good enough, or are we going to say that the boss liked me better? I think we'll end up saying that the boss liked me better, and the boss in this particular case is the Kenyan. Igathe anakuanga fiti sana, tumemwona kufanya kazi kila mahali, Equity and many other companies, but I feel like he was unable to convince the person on the ground. Perhaps did not have a connection with him, and that is why people will end up voting for people like Mike Sonko, because he speaks the language of the people. They'll vote in Sakaja because akikuja anafanya ile ngumi bweks and so on and so forth. And you find like the people who matter the most, who should actually take into consideration that particular kind of leadership, won't, because they're bypassed by all these other issues that I will call that lack of connection.
I once gave an analogy of an election that happened in the forest, and two candidates offered themselves, a lion and a monkey. Proper, a monkey with a red tail, uko nyuma. And then when the election happened, more monkey voters turned out to vote than lion voters. And obviously the monkey won. Then he was there dancing and saying, I won. Even the lion can't beat me, I won. Nobody wants to have a conversation about the fact that there were more monkey voters than lion voters, and that monkeys chose one of their own. That's why we have a monkey now leading the forest as opposed to the lion.
Okay.
Oftentimes, we speak of election losers, but we never speak of the voters themselves. If monkeys are more, they'll give you a monkey. If chimpanzees are more, they'll give you a chimpanzee.
Okay.
Let us fight and work so hard to elevate these monkeys to the level where their thinking is like that of an owl, a very bright person. And they will make more informed choices. So let us not leave them behind. I think we have a very huge duty to do, and I have done a lot as Fanyamambo. A huge civic education duty to bring the voter up to speed, to understand how powerful their vote is, how important their vote is, and how much difference it can make if they get the right person.
So your solution to this is the civic education?
Yes.
And that
part of the reasons Gen Z are having the problem they're having even today, and in the past few demonstrations, is because Nairobians voted for some of the wrong leaders who have been associated with the guns that are beating up our young people. Can you imagine you failing to sleep, waking up early, and going to vote for someone, and then that person takes your taxes, your money, and then pays other goons with your money and tells them to beat you up for demonstrating because he and others are stealing your money? And he tells you you will not access the streets, which are your streets. They are not his streets. He tells you you will not come to CBD, like he owns CBD. So we have to be very careful. The ballot is an extremely important piece of paper.
Right.
Let us be very careful.
Okay. Well, I have a question here about the IMF. Sometimes back, I think in 2022, but we really cried about IMF on the impact they have, especially on the Kenyan budget and on the Kenyan taxation system. Maybe can you explain maybe how this has affected the austerity measures that as a country we needed to have adopted?
First, I don't think Kenya needs austerity measures. To start with, what we haven't done is again, I can't speak about Kenya without speaking about stupidity. When you people allow your head of state to go around opening things that you are calling markets, because there is this stupid understanding in the minds of very many Kenyans that a market is a physical place. But now we are not interrogating deeper what is happening in this physical. So we take your money and mine and we open this room and we call it a market and we put our women. But what is being sold inside that market? Tanzanian onions, Ugandan eggs, Chinese merchandise. So what we have done is we have opened a physical space in Kenya using Kenya's taxpayers' money, where Chinese can now sell their goods, where Ugandans can sell their eggs, and where Tanzanians can sell their onions, and where Tanzanians can sell their tomatoes.
Right.
A market for me is taking a flight to China, not to borrow 230 billion, but to tell them, look here, we've discovered that China has an insatiable demand for avocado. By the way, any amount of avocado, and I say any, that you can produce, China will consume. They have 1.3 billion people, and those people eat a lot of avocado. So the president creating a market is not going round Mount Kenya in a convoy and spending 2 billion to open funny spaces where Chinese, Ugandan and Tanzanian products are being sold. It is him going and saying, I am going back home. We shall plant avocado. Can China buy? And China will tell them, even if you bring 2 ship or if you bring 15 aeroplanes of avocado every day, you cannot satisfy China. What will happen now is that within 3-4 years, Kenya will become a massive exporter of avocado to China. And that now is creating a market. So before you talk about austerity measures and nini, what we are doing is we are not trading. We are not making money as a nation.
Someone would argue, Fanyamambo, that perhaps the reason why we are having these Tanzanian and Ugandan products is because we are unable to produce enough on our own and we need to supplement them. You've mentioned eggs. Perhaps me, I'm not an egg farmer. I don't have chicken. But perhaps we just don't have enough eggs in the country and that's why we need to get them from Uganda.
No, I'll tell you again.
Okay.
Why does Kenya have a problem with its eggs? Our eggs are expensive. Why are they expensive? Our food for chicken is expensive. Why is food for chicken expensive? Because one of the most important raw materials for making animal feeds anywhere is protein.
Yeah.
Now, if protein is one of the most expensive products in all our raw materials, what is the major source of protein in animal feeds? Soya. What is soya? Soya is a bean. Kenya needs 150,000 metric tons of soya. Kenya produces 10,000 metric tons of soya. Kenya imports 140,000 metric tons of soya. To bring 1 kg of soya, it's about 100 bob. So go and multiply 100 bob by 140,000 metric tons of soya. You will see how many billions of shillings that we lose as an economy. What is soya? It's a bean, it's a bean, it's a bean, it's a bean. Bosho, maharagwe, it's a bean.
Yeah.
So if Kenya was to have the right advisors for the president, again I submit, President, hauna advisors. Hauna, just fire all of them.
But he has 20
spends
of them.
$1 billion a year on 50 advisors.
He has 20 of them. Akina Kuria, Professor Kisiangani.
20 advisors, he spends $1 billion on them. Now, if Kenya was to, by the way, a bean takes how much? Maximum 6 months to grow. It's usually 4 to 5,
Actually
6
4.
If Kenya was to just say, every farmer, tumekuomba tuko hiyo shamba yako, dedicate a if that bean can do well in your area.
Yeah.
Just plant soya. What would happen is that our cost of feeds would go down significantly. And we would be very competitive. Again, what don't we have? The right people, the right brains in the right places. Let me tell you something, my good friend.
Yeah.
Look at tourism. I get angry because we have the wrong people in. We need the right brains in parliament. Let me tell you.
Right.
Kenya gets about 2.5 million tourists per year. They bring in 144 billion. Now, our population is 53 million people. We get 2.5 million tourists. I want to take you to Spain. Spain has a population of 60 to 70 million. It gets about 100 million tourists. France has a population of 70 million thereabout. They get 120 million tourists. But wanaenda kuona nini France?
Mona Lisa
na Eiffel Tower, a leaning tower,
the Louvre.
Kenyans, do you know what we have? Do you know what we have as a nation for tourism? If we were to stop everything and say that we are getting serious about bringing in 10 million tourists per year, we would move from getting 1.4 billion to about 144 billion to about 3 trillion from tourism only. That's more than, that's 3/4 of our budget. We can fund it from just by encouraging the right people to come here. There is a country, must be Malaysia, where you should know what their tourism activity is. Munaekwa kwa kabot usiku,
right?
And then munapelekwa up a river, alafu they switch off the lights. Do you know what people go to see? You know that shining dudu that lights like this?
The firefly.
Yes, that's what people are taken there to go and see. The firefly. Wametafuta tourism, they have nothing else to show,
right,
other than the firefly.
The question
now, you are a country that is in the right space, but you have the wrong leaders. And the only thing they are doing is going abroad on a begging bowl.
Right.
Yes.
Kinothia, the only thing we have also, someone again would argue that the only thing we have in Kenya is the big five, our animals. We have a few nice lakes here and there, but also other countries have got lakes. They might not have the lions, or they might not have
the an Eiffel Tower.
They might not have, the white rhinos and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, unakuja tu Kenya kungangana na umbu, huku Masai Mara na Amboseli. Beyond that, and the jumping Masais, of course. But beyond that, what else are we offering?
You can't compare that to fireflies, and it's giving them more money than ourselves. Firefly, kale kadudu, small boys who Ocha, they just look at it and they laugh. That is earning a country a lot of money. I mean, let us use common sense as a nation, and let us put in place the right people.
Right.
This country is wealthy.
So Kinuthia, because now we are seeing now the problem is not it's not that we do not have minerals, we do not have tourist sites, we do not have things that can attract tourism, right? It's not that we do not have. So I would like to know, because you are a lawyer, do we have some laws that are pushing for the support of maybe whatever things that we have in our country, the assets that we have in our country?
Kenya is drowning in laws. In fact, we don't need more laws. We have more than 600 acts of parliament. That's why I refuse to come and speak as a lawyer, because we have enough law. In fact, if you ask me, our constitution is bigger than the constitution of the United States.
Yes.
But even after having had the penal code that is enough to punish criminals, by the way, we still had to create an anti-corruption. We glorify corruption because it is usually done by the rich, the high and the mighty. Hamutaki kuwa punish as thieves. Now you start creating an ethics and anti-corruption commission and an office for them. We spend more money talking about corruption and fighting corruption than probably even corruption takes away from us. So we need to ask ourselves, why do we have an ethics and anti-corruption commission, for example, whereas all we know is that these are public thieves? Kiiba kuku, kuna ethics and anti-corruption, unashika unapelekwa Kibira, unafungwa miezi 6. Someone has taken millions from our country, alafu unasikia ethics, anti-corruption, I don't know what. It's an over-glorified thief. Full stop. So we have more laws than we actually need. It's not about the laws. It's about getting the right people to do the job. And when you think about those nations that have done well, they've done well because we've had the right people for the job. Meritocracy. Just get the right people to do the right job.
When the Gen Zs went to the streets, I think last year, it's they were just trying to raise their voices against the hard economic times that they are going through in the country, and also the leadership in our country, and also about the budget. So now about the leadership, we are seeing the president then promised that I'm not going to work with just politicians, we are going to put in place technocrats, right? I think that is one of the things that he had promised. Then after he dissolved his cabinet, we saw again that all these people, he brought them back to the places they were, or even they were just moved from one
it was
one
a
department,
reshuffle.
just a reshuffle to just another one, and we are not seeing anything happening so far. That's why I was asking, are there even laws that can just be made to ensure that these positions, especially easy PAs, we are not getting political people. We are just getting people who can do the work, because I think that is where the problem is.
I think my answer is simple. Kenya has tried many things. I compare Kenya to an institution where you come and say the school is not doing well. So you change the biology teacher to start teaching Kiswahili. Then you move, you change even the games master, you change everything. It got to a place where Kenya was not working, that we even had to change the deputy headmaster of the school. Kenya is still not working. There's only one thing we haven't tried: changing the principal of the school. We've reshuffled all the teachers, we've reshuffled head of departments, we've even reshuffled the cook and the chef. We've even tried renovating the classrooms and everything. It's not worked. Kenya just needs to change the school principal. It's the only person we've not tried changing. And once we change the principal, then there will be a country to talk about.
But we have always been changing the principal through the ballot. We have always
This
been
particular principle
yes
must go. And because as we speak, last night,
right,
and I'll say this authority, 2 friends of mine were abducted last night at Gigiri. And one of them was this guy, Paul, he used to speak at the Mutahingunyi show. He was abducted last night at Gigiri. We even have videos, we even have photos of the cars that took them and the men who abducted them. Does this country mean well? Gen Zs are going on process tomorrow because of these things. I am telling you, today, sorry. If they had summoned Paul, he would have presented himself to a police station. There is so much anger in Kenyans because of how this country is being run. We've never had a situation where every other day there's a Subaru abducting people in the night. Hata sisi tunatokanga studio tu na wasiwasi. Because they are carrying people left, right and center. And this is after the president comes and promises on national TV that there will be no more abductions. And then he pretends to give an apology, which we refuse because jana ame abductiwa. I'm talking of the 24th of June 2024 at night around 8:39. 2025, sorry. 2 of my friends were abducted. 24th June 2025.
Paul and who else?
I'll get you the 2 names.
All right.
Because the other one, I know Paul on a personal level.
Okay.
This other friend of mine is here. He's right here. He's right here.
Okay.
In fact, yesterday we were discussing it with friends because I remember at night. Yesterday.
So as you get the name, still on matters, the principle of this.
Kevin M and Paul Ngari.
Paul Ngari and Kevin M.
Yes, they were abducted at Gigiri yesterday in the night, and the videos are there.
Okay.
Actually, they're even circulating on social media.
All right.
And this was yesterday at around 8 in the night.
Okay.
So nobody knows where they are right now.
So they've not been taken to any police station that
That's
you are
where
aware
we have
of.
a problem. The problem is not even arresting people.
Okay.
We have always made it clear. If you have a problem with someone, summon them to a police station.
Yeah.
We are okay with that. Let everybody know that Paul is at police station X.
Okay.
And then we can come.
And these are the charges.
And these are the charges.
All right.
But when we start hearing they knocked their head on a wall,
that's a completely different conversation. Still on matters State House, and the fact that we have a principal there in the name of the president, who has said that perhaps the opposition, akina nyinyi sasa, are fighting him too much. He's unable to focus on the work because every day Kenyans are complaining. The opposition is complaining. They're just not giving it time to for the things that he promised Kenyans to materialize. Yeah,
we are not complaining.
Yeah,
and I think the head of state needs to get it best. We are telling him, you cannot allocate your state house 12 billion and children 3 billion. Is that complaining? You cannot have a child in Kenya being allocated 1 shilling and 50 cents for a meal. Hiyo ni nini? Ni marago yatakula ni mind. What can you buy for 1 shilling and 50 cents? So when we tell him your state house is not a priority, he says he needs time. What more time to continue adding money to state house? This is what Kenyans are telling him, and he's not listening to us.
Yeah.
When you tell him that your governor is organizing for our children to be beaten up, he tells us we give him more time for what? Actually, Sakaja na bahati sana, because young people, and we've had a lot of sweet talking to them, had decided hawaendi maandamano streets. Young people had actually, and they were getting to me and they were saying, tutaenda kwa Sakaja nyumbani, tuandamane kwake. I told them, let's not do that. They said, no, he's made it personal, we are going to make it personal. I told them, let's not go that direction.
Right.
So what these leaders are forgetting is that young people have got options. What if they decided they identify the people who are funding goons to beat them up, na wapeleke maandamano kwa gate zao? These are people who breached parliament.
Yeah.
Are your houses more secure than parliament? So people need to be careful how you speak to young people, what you do to them.
All right.
Because it could come back to you.
A colleague of mine was suggesting yesterday, instead of Kenyans having to go to places like, Parliament or State House, and the streets for that matter, what if, because today was specifically to commemorate, the people that we have lost since June last year, what if we chose certain venues, let's say like Rex Masai's home, where we can go as Kenyans, not to demonstrate or picket, but just to remember that here is one of the the fallen heroes, and we just have a prayer there, sings patriotic songs and so on and so forth, and then go back home. That way we won't have to disrupt anybody's business in the CBD. We won't have to goons won't get the opportunity to throw stones or beat people or rob people in the CBD. Twende kwa Rex, tuimbe huko national anthem, tuombe, turudi nyumbani.
Let me ask you, was Rex killed at his home?
No.
Was killed where?
Tomboya.
Good. This is the answer. What we have is an irresponsible government. When people start telling you as early as February that on 25th of June they are going to have maandamano to celebrate or to commemorate the people who lost their lives, what do you do as government? If I was sitting in State House today, what I would have done, number one, very early, I would have told the young people, actually, I want to do something different. I have dedicated a place in Uhuru Park where we have erected a monument. We want all the names of all the people who have died or have been named to be written there.
Let me stop you there because we need to do the news. Then when we return, of course, we shall pick it up from there, talking about what's supposed to be happening in the CBD this morning. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
It's 8 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The main suspect in the killing of Kasipul Ere has accused police of torturing him while in custody and declined to plead to murder charges during virtual court session. Isaac Kuria, who's alleged to have pulled the trigger in the April 30th murder of the MP in Nairobi, was presented before High Court Judge Kanyi Kimondo at Milimani Law Courts alongside Alan Ogola, the lawmaker's bodyguard. Both were expected to answer murder charges. Kuria refused to take the plea, saying he wanted to appear physically in court to raise serious issues, including that he had been tortured in custody. Lands Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome has put on notice land registry officials over theft of government revenue. The CS, who spoke in Kiambu County during a tour of land registries, added that she has information that revenue was disappearing through corrupt officials. CS Wahome said such persons have no place in the Ministry of Lands, adding that measures have been put in place to digitize land transactions to prevent revenue loss.
You see, Kenyans are paying. They are also willing to pay for commensurate service. But if I'm going to lose stamp duty before it reaches the next level, then it means we are losing very useful money. And sometimes it's because either our officers are working together with the people who are supposed to pay, I'm monitoring the transactions. For me to know whether we are losing stamp duty, I must monitor.
Ahead of today's protest, opposition leaders in the country have vowed to join Gen Zs in the demos. The leaders, led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Eugene Wamalwa, they said they will march to parliament to demand action over extrajudicial killings in the country. Kalonzo threw his full support behind the demonstrations, saying they will honor the young lives lost during last year's anti-finance bill protest. Wamalwa called on protesters to carry no weapon, instead carry phones and flags.
As the People's United Opposition, we ask all of you who come out tomorrow to do so peacefully. Don't come armed. Do it in the same style the Gen Zs did it. If anything, just your phone and a flag of Kenya, as they did it. Anyone who comes out armed with any machetes, know that he's not one of us.
God will shine. The sun will rise tomorrow, and we shall go and lay the wreaths in remembrance of these children.
Striker Liam Delap scored his first Chelsea goal as the Blues qualified for the knockout stages of the Club World Cup with a win over ES Tunis. The 22-year-old scored with a placed shot deep into first half added time to get off the mark after his £30 million move from Ipswich earlier this month. It came just 2 minutes after defender Tosin Adarabioyo headed in a free kick from Enzo Fernandez to open the scoring. Substitute Tyreek George added a late third with practically the last kick of the match. That's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed, this is the home of hard truths and bold insights, and we hope wherever you are safe. The conversation around the budget, of course, has been ongoing since last week, and we cannot stress enough that we need to, every single one of us, we need to join this conversation, because at the end of the day, it's your taxes and mine. In studio, we do have Fanya Mambo Kinodhia. He is a lawyer, and we're just talking around the issues surrounding budgetary allocations, and especially to State House. Now, from an initial budget of 4.3 billion, right now Status is looking to get about 8.1 billion upwards. And one of the things, one of the budgetary allocations for that particular amount has gone to the Deputy President's office and his house and his offices and so on and so forth. The Deputy President of this country is the principal assistant to the President. Is that not so?
Yes.
What exactly is the role of this particular individual that he needs that much money? Because at the end of the day, we assume that whatever duties he has or she has, they will be allocated by the President. And in case of the absence of the President, that is when the DP becomes the P. So when we're giving the DP so much money for his office, for his houses or house, what exactly are we saying in terms of the critical, like, what is the purpose of this particular office that it needs so much money?
I will answer that, but allow me in just a few seconds to finish up on something I was saying. I was saying before the break that if this administration had been wise, first they would have erected a monument to Uhuru Park.
Yes.
And then they would have had the names of every Gen Z who died, who is known to have died, and every young person who is missing. Then they would have told the young people, we've actually decided as government to help you. On the 25th, instead of going to Parliament, we want you to honor your heroes. We have created a space where you can come and light candles, where you can invite the pastors of your choice, because kuna wengine wako compromised, or the priests of your choice, or the imams of your choice, and come and have a national prayer day to commemorate your heroes. And that's the reason we have Uhuru Park. And that monument will stay at Uhuru Park with all those names engraved on it. Kama ile ya pale bomb blast. If they had done that, do you know what would have happened? Today, all young people would have congregated at Uhuru Park. They would have even provided sound as government. Wambia will provide you a stage, sound, lighting. so that you come and do a church service. What have you done? You have made 25th successful. You have contained young people at Uhuru Park. You have given them an opportunity to come and express themselves on the microphone. And once they are done, nobody will go to the streets. They will go back home.
Yes.
The reason we are having kimbi is because the government is irresponsible.
Let me ask you.
And also, worst case scenario is, say, we have opened up one of the main streets and we have allowed you to get a bishop of your choice and come and have interdenominational prayers on the streets. And we tell young people on that day, please wear white, come ready for prayers.
You
come
expect the government to do that?
That is what a responsible government would have done. Do you know what young people would have said?
Because by extension, that is actually them admitting that,
no, that's not an... You see, the thing is...
That we actually agree there's a problem. And the government has been refusing that there's a problem.
You need to agree there's a problem. Let me tell you. You cannot fix this nation until you agree there's a problem.
But governor kata hakuna shida.
No. He has the wrong advisors.
Right.
If you want to bring Gen Zs close to your heart, open up those streets. Instead of putting a razor wire at Parliament, erect an altar on that street and allow people to do it. Let me tell you, nobody will throw a stone when a bishop is conducting a church service. Give them, provide them a police band to pray during that church service so that it's a national thing. And tell these young people, from today henceforth, now we shall move it to Uhuru Park. On the 25th, we shall be allowing all young people to just come and celebrate with their young people.
What if, because, yes, what you're saying, but they theoretically sounds absolutely amazing. But according to the quarters and according to the conversation that has been ongoing for the last couple of days in the country, the chaos that we are seeing isn't organized by the peace-loving demonstrators or protesters. It is organized by individuals who do not want that peaceful process to take place. So if the government decides to allow us to have a bishop of our choice, imam of our choice, then the people who've been organizing the chaos, they still pay people to come and throw stones at this bishop. What's the difference? No. Because at the end of the day, there's someone who clearly doesn't want a peaceful process. This person wants chaos. So whether you bring a priest, pastor, bishop, imam...
I'll tell you why they want chaos. They wanted chaos because the police have been taking instructions from the wrong people. And I am sorry, I think I want to exonerate our police for a moment, because everybody has been saying our police is unprofessional. But what if they are taking instructions from someone who's never been to Kiganjo for training? What is the use of training our police to be professional if somebody is going to stand somewhere and he's not a policeman and he tells policemen what to do? The policemen are confused. There was never a single training at Kiganjo. I have never been there. But I don't think there was a single training where police were told that there will come a day when you'll have demonstrations and then you'll have goons who are not uniformed with you and you'll be beating civilians. What lesson was that at Kiganjo? It was lesson number what? On which day? So the policemen become confused. It's the first time in their lives when they have to cooperate with goons who are carrying all manner of crude weapons to beat up innocent civilians who are carrying flags and water.
Speaking of police, Mukwana, one of the suspects of the murder of Albert Ojwang, said that he was given instructions from his OCS to bring people into the cell where Albert Ojwang was being held. Obviously, his training at Kiganjo, I highly doubt aliambiwa ukiambiwa lete goons kwa cell waeke, lakini uni mdosi wake amemwambia. Ameingiza watu pale ndani wafanye ABCD, and these are the instructions. God forbid, maybe Talam also got instructions from someone else, and he was told do ABCD. So at the end of the day, fine, there's the training, but there's the on ground.
No. You see, for anybody who studied law will tell you that an unjust law must be disobeyed. A bad command must be disobeyed. What Talam should have done is refused to do it. Probably even switch off his phone. It's an unjust law. I cannot, as an OCS, it doesn't matter how senior you are in the police force. What's the worst you will do? Fire me or transfer me to Pokot? That's fine. But there will be no human blood on my hands. Because once someone dies, you cannot bring them back to life. That's the gravity of this.
Right.
So, but once I am transferred and this person is alive or killed by another person, there is no blood on my hands. I've always told God, help me, that as I live all my life, until the day I die, I don't want to have the blood of one human being on my hands. Any other thing that can be brought back is fine. But killing, no. That one I'm not going to be part of.
Okay.
Wacha ikae.
But maybe just to add on what he's saying, because I think sometimes once this when these cops are triggering the gun, right? Most of the time it's I don't think ameambiwa piga risasi. Like what we saw with Boniface, it's something that we saw camera. Yes, it is just something like kitu tu imefanyika. I think there's more to maybe getting orders. There's more to getting orders to maybe back to the culture that you people have and back to your mental health. I think so.
No, leadership. Full stop. If you read The Art of War, you'll understand that the most effective leaders are not the ones who fight the most. They are the ones who avoid the fight before it happens. Today, I can tell you, even the biggest world war, including the First and the Second World War, were not finished with guns and bullets, and they were finished with dialogue. And I'm telling you, if Ruto had wanted to win the hearts of Gen Zs, he had every opportunity. And the first one was to make sure that the 25th is successful. Not by deploying police, but by deploying language. The difference between you and a cow is that you have a language and a cow doesn't have.
You have intelligence.
That's what, it's not even intelligence. You know, we can have a conversation. Animals cannot. That's why animals, ikifika mahali wanatoa makucha, ama wanafungua mdomo, because that's the language they have. We have language. The minute you see yourself resorting to tear gas, to a baton, to a bullet, to armed policemen, it means you have failed as a leader.
Let me ask you,
persuasion is the strongest weapon we have. And if I was head of state, I would have told the young people, wait, I'm actually telling you, go and have a conversation with this committee. Tell us what we can do to make 25th successful. And you don't even have to meet somewhere. You are comfortable meeting on X. Let's not come to complain. Let's not come to agonize. In fact, you call that meeting no agony. We are coming to organize. We are not coming to agonize. We are coming to organize. Call an X space. Tell young people we want solid proposals. On 25th, we were going to give you a monument.
The president had an X space, I think, last year after the whole 25th June situation. He held maybe one or two of those particular spaces. A lot of Kenyans were there. A lot of young Kenyans were there. Some of them, I'm actually happy that majority of them were very respectful when they were addressing him. Do you see any do you see any impact from those particular meetings that the president held?
There would have been no impact. When people die and you call them to a next space, the first thing you do is what?
Apologize.
Number two, give condolences. There was no apology, there was no condolences, there was no recognition of human life lost. There was no conversation about 200 young people who are missing. It is how do we move forward? I can't kill your son and then call you to a meeting to discuss how we are going to move forward.
Okay, the other day, during the National Prayer Day, I think the president aliomba msamaha. It was in public, but I saw Gen Zs walikataa ule msamaha.
Yes.
I want to ask you, maybe it's not that I'm defending the government or so, or the president. I want to ask you, like, how was he supposed to maybe to ask for that forgiveness, so that now you guys, because I think that would have been the starting point, you see, because if you have requested, you have asked them to forgive you, they've not forgiven you, and then now whatever you're saying, like coming up with a meeting whereby people will meet and talk, or organizing, making sure the 25th maandamano hii pengine serikali ingeingililia. So do you think the president, after requesting for forgiveness, alafu the response that maybe came out later, do you think he had a way of moving forward to engaging the Gen Zs?
He did not request for forgiveness. Reason being, the abductors are still here with us. There's nothing you are telling me kama bado hizo Subaru ziko na mafuta. There's nothing you are talking about saying I've made an apology. Well, yesterday I'm telling you, 24th of June 2025, 2 young people have been abducted. So there's no apology. The apology comes in like if the head of state had said, you people complained about loss of lives, you complained about are missing young people. The ones who are missing are here. You're trying to tell me the government doesn't know where they are? Are you trying to, in the figment of your imagination, tell Kenyans that the government is completely and totally not aware where those young people who are missing are? Of course they are aware. And until you address that, there is no apology. So you'd rather come and say they died, or they are alive, or they're in this place. Address that issue.
The former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, at one point said that there could be hired guns from outside Kenya. And that is why some of these police officers, we see them in the streets, are covered. They wear balaclavas and so on and so forth. And he came out and said those are the rogue cops, or the rogue elements within that organization of trying to handle the maandamano that come out and just kill Kenyans randomly. What do you have to say about that? Do you think it's actually true that we could be having people from outside Kenya that are not actually taking orders from the OCSs or the OCPDs or the base commanders that we have in this country, and they're taking orders from a completely different individual, telling them, ingia pale, maliza watu wawili watatu, rudi kwa base?
I'll answer you very quickly. I saw one time Besije, person of the caliber of Besije, abducted in Kenya, driven more than 450 kilometers to the border to be delivered to the people who are really torturing him right now. That guy is going through hell. And then the Kenya police says they don't know. So can you imagine, in a sovereign state with all, and you know how much money we allocated to state security? More than 457 billion. But then after allocating more than 450 billion to security, it is possible for somebody like Besije to be abducted in the country and the police is not aware. I think I'll leave that for Kenyans today to digest.
Okay.
But you asked another question about the allocations to the DP's office.
Yeah.
Hiyo si ni ya maharagwe tu, kununua maharagwe kupelekea watu wetu wa gurume tumbo.
Ofisi yake imepewa 5 billion.
We were in Meru this weekend with Rigiji. Meru has 9 constituencies. And the constitution allows us to assemble. We had gone to see our Meru brothers and to have a conversation with them, just to ask them, maisha inawapeleka aje. The first stop was you are coming to Nkobo. We found young people who had barricaded the road, and they were telling us tutam. And so we alighted, we cleared the barricades, and we addressed people.
Right.
So I think they felt really bad that we were able to address people at Nkobo. When we got to Meru town, now we found a fire lit.
Okay.
In the middle of the road. And the few people, because all of us, by the way, you got to a place now, kila gari ilikuwa na miti za jembe. Literally tulikuwa na shuka na miti za jembe. Because you have to protect yourselves. And they were throwing stones at us. And once we cleared the barricade, Rigiji ni mwanaume, tuliongea mahali moshi iko. Just like after the smoke, just to tell them, we are in Meru town. Mulisema tutaingia Meru, tumeingia Meru town.
You had a shisha moment, eh?
Yeah, shisha moment. But now the smell was not so nice because it was burning tires.
Okay.
But let me tell you, the people of Meru were so excited to come and tell us they are tired of this administration. That would be repeated in Mikindori. It would be repeated in Igembe East. Everywhere we went.
Right.
The state is spending a lot of our money doing the wrong things. I wish they had put that money into true empowerment of those young people, because it would have had an impact in their lives.
Right.
But they want to make them poor so that they can buy them very cheaply. And this is what is ruining this country. Let us be tolerant. Let us have a culture where you are allowed to come and meet people. Have a conversation with them. As long as you're not discussing how you're going to ban the country. You're just telling people about 2027 and how they should make their choices. I think that should be allowed.
Yeah.
The only meeting that we must stop, and I will say, is a meeting that tells people to take up arms and weapons and go and occupy State House or ban institutions. That is a conversation we don't want to have as a nation. But a conversation about using our ballot wisely.
Yeah.
And a conversation about throwing out a government through the ballot is a conversation we must have.
There's a question I've been asking a lot of the guests who've been coming on this show. And that question is, who do we have come 2027 that has got the spine to actually campaign against President Ruto and actually beat him at the ballot? Because we have a lot of leaders in the opposition. We have former DP Rigiji. We also have Kalonzo, we have Maraga, we have Matiangi, we have Martha Karua, and many others that I'm forgetting right now. Okiya Mtata. Ni nani yako na hiyo spine?
I'll answer you in a very simple way. Someone is here going through a divorce, a terrible divorce from a lover who's jilted, who has beaten them up, who has done such horrible things. Alipi hata school fees ya watoto, alipi hata medical ya watoto. That person is going through that divorce. Then you're there asking them, utaoa nani? Hey, this person is going through a divorce. At least it starts by knowing whom you don't want. That's a good step. You know the husband you don't want.
Yep.
You know the abusive husband. You know the husband who doesn't pay school fees for children. You know the husband who doesn't pay for medical for the children. You know the husband who comes at 2 a.m. You know the husband who is beating you up. You know the husband who is making some of your children disappear. We know the husband we don't want.
Okay.
Allow us to go through that phase of telling everybody, my husband has been abusive. My husband has been bad. My husband has... Allow us to go through the divorce. And by the way, why should my ex want to know who I'm going to marry next? You are my jilted ex, ukiachwa achika. I am going to marry somebody else. He might be shorter than you, that's my problem. Might be taller than you, that's my problem. He might be more handsome or less handsome. He may have a pot belly, he may be older, he may be younger.
What if
it is not your problem who I'm going to marry?
If you marry the wrong partner and then that other partner ends up killing more of our children, taking all the properties that we
have told you very clearly, we are going through a divorce. When someone is going through a divorce, they are working on leaving the person they don't want. Stop insisting on knowing who they are going to marry next. Everything has a face. And anybody who's gone through a divorce will tell you that when they are going through divorce, they never even think they'll ever marry again. So stop asking us who we are going to marry next. Allow us to go through the divorce. At least we are mature enough to know who we don't want. And by the way, we are also going through our divorce without throwing tantrums. We are not burning things in the house. Hata tulimwachia kila kitu. Alileta mpango wa kando mpaka kwa hiyo nyumba yetu yenye tulijenga na yeye. So we are going through a divorce.
Okay, it's okay. You're going through a divorce, sawa as Kenyans, right? But now, the people who are lining up themselves, maybe to be your to be your husband, your next husband, are also wanachapa mabibi zao. They are also people who avoid paying school fees for their kids. Into marriage. That is the reason why it is always important that we discuss these things, because we are seeing you may be tricked, because watu wanatoka huku nje and they come covered, but they are the same people who beat their wives. They are the same people, once they get home, your kids want to disappear.
I think this is the answer. The answer is whether the potential suitors who are waiting for us are bad or not is another question. But we must leave this particular one.
First of all.
Don't tell us to continue with this one. This is a decision made. We are leaving this husband.
Okay.
So that one tumemaliza.
Yeah.
Now to these potential suitors, all we can do is tell them, continue polishing your suits. Continue polishing your ties for a wedding day. There will be a wedding with one of you or somebody who is not even one of you. That will happen. There will be a wedding in 2027.
Yes.
We are going to marry another husband. We are going to get one of those suitors to be one of the persons that we are going to settle with for another 5 years. However, one thing needs to be clear.
Yeah.
That out of all those who are offering themselves, we shall look for someone who is well-mannered. And Kenyans are intelligent this time round. I've heard them talk of, for a long time people used to say, ametoka kabila gani yako. Kenyans are even ready to vote for someone from a community that has got very few votes, as long as they get the right person. So I've seen names like Maraga, I have seen Matiangi, I have seen Rigiji. When you see the people who are offering themselves, it's a collection of a mix. It's people, some of them have bad records, some of them have really good records, some of them have records that we don't know about, and many others will emerge. But let us agree that we are getting rid of this one, and the next one we shall be very wise in choosing.
Do you think Kenyans have learned their lesson? Because I feel, and from what you have been seeing before, is that Kenyans forget so fast. Kenyans forget so fast.
No, Kenyans are in the process of learning their lessons. They have not fully learned. Some have, some are still learning. But from where we sit, 2027 is going to be a very different election. People will not vote based on their hatred for other people. People will vote based on merit, and people will not vote based on tribe as others are thinking. There will be a huge consideration on who is the person we are going for. Kenyans want a good person. They want a performer.
Kinothia, yes. We are saying that we don't want this marriage. It's a very bad one. We're in the process of divorce and so on and so forth. Then what is the purpose of all these meetings, the mandamanos, the commemoration and so on and so forth? Because we are still going to the streets, but the husband is still coming back home at night. Same bed.
No.
We are crying out. We are having all these placards. We are creating memes about this so-called husband. But at the end of the day, tunarudi kwa ile nyumba jioni, sisi wote, sisi kama mabibi zake na yeye kama bwana yetu, tunarudi tu pale. What are we hoping to achieve, for instance?
I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
You know, when you have HIV and AIDS, you have very many opportunistic infections. Leo uko na homa, kesho uko na diarrhea,
TB,
uko na TB. But the actual problem you have is immune system. Kenya has got that HIV right now. They have a cancerous leadership. So what's happening is, when the leadership is bad, today you talk about SHA, the next time they are talking of selling your airport. Before you can chase them not to sell the airport, they start saying they want to privatize Mumias. So you start running and telling them, no, there's 270,000 acres, there's another 170,000, I don't know, for Nzoia, you cannot privatize Mumias. By the time you are done, then that's now like, that's what we are into. Kenyans are not running helter-skelter for nothing. This government has an incredibly deep depth for bad. Like, you think they've sunk low, they sink lower.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to keep quiet, but it's too much. Imagine una realize, if I don't talk, our airport will go. So what happens? You are there, sasa mnaongea mambo ya airport. You know, there are times when you have an administration and they're like, wow, that's a good one. Like, you see, when Michuki came with his belt, people were celebrating this administration. When Matiang'i came with his yellow school buses, it was something in the sector. When we started seeing a child from a place in this country that we never knew, like a school that, you know, and that child is number one in the country, people started seeing education reforms, and they had something to celebrate. The problem we are having with this administration is that every day they are taking us to very deep levels of horrible. They have an incredible depth for bad.
Okay.
And they are always doing such a lot of bad things that the only things we find ourselves having a conversation about is the bad things they are doing. The other day, we were almost celebrating when we saw people being told they're being given houses in Mukuru. I challenge you to go there today. Wote walifukuzwa, hawakupewa hizo nyumba. Ilikuwa drama, ilikuwa video. Just go there and check if any of those has been given. Na hata tuliona wamepangishwa line wakipewa pesa. And so that's what I'm telling you. People are not hating William Ruto for nothing. In fact, people, it's not like we are activists. No, we just wake up, and then the next thing you are hearing is that kuna nyumba zinapeanwa Mukuru. Then you start celebrating and saying, hey, for once gava imefanya kitu poa. After 2 days news inatoka, watu wote hakuna mwenye alipewa hizo nyumba.
Nataka tufanye traffic kidogo. I just need to give people an update real fast. I'm looking at Next Gen Mall. There's a little bit of traffic there at Next Gen as you're heading into the Nairobi CBD. I wonder why we are having that snarl up. Capital Center, as you're leaving Capital Center into the joining Mombasa Road, a little bit of traffic there. I believe this one is the one that is coming from the expressway. So if you're joining the expressway from that point, just be aware of that snarl up. Now, the rest of the roads are actually looking very green. So it's either you guys are not coming to town at all today. There's literally no traffic on the roads of Nairobi this particular morning. I'm looking at University of Nairobi, University Way rather. There's like a yellow line. That means there's traffic kidogo as you're approaching the roundabout, the Uhuru Way roundabout, as you're getting into Chiromo. A little bit of yellow line traffic there. So I wonder what that is. But for the rest of you, there's absolutely no traffic. So I'm assuming that leo watu wamekuja town. If there's any incident where you are, please let me know.
And you know, of course, we are having riot police almost everywhere. All the roads are leading to town. By the way, majority of them have been They have been kuna block pale.
Kuna blocks kila mahali.
Kuingia town lazima tunajua unaenda kufanya nini. Ulisema kwamba wamekuja wamejifunika.
Balaclavas. Naangalia hata barabara inaitwa Hurlingham. If you're coming from Hurlingham, that is Agwings Kodek. There's traffic from Woodlands Lane heading into Muthu Silver Springs Hotel. That roundabout next to the DOD. There's traffic there. I wonder where you guys are going. Also, that can stretch for Daystar University going back to MGM Muthu Silver Springs Hotel. There's traffic there. Other than that, the rest of Nairobi is just looking green. All right. Fanya Mambo Kinodia, back to you. You know,
there was a question that I wanted to ask him in relation to maybe the maandamano, what is happening right now. Is there an option? Do we have an option other than maybe going to the street as Kenyans?
Yes.
What is the option?
I told Kenyans one time, and I don't tire of telling them this. This administration is prepared for your body. In fact, they have tear gas for your nose. They have body armor for the policemen to protect the policemen from your stones. They have a baton for your knees and legs. They have bullets for your head. They usually like blowing people's brains onto tarmac. They have rubber bullets. They're prepared for your body. The only one thing that the Kenya government has never been prepared for is the brain of the Gen Z. Throw your brains at them and they are confused. There was a time when there was a young person who was making some black memes about this administration. They had a lot more impact than maandamano.
The silhouettes.
Yeah, silhouettes, those ones. There was a time when people decided to deal with Samia Suluhu in a manner that I don't really approve.
Yeah.
But the impact was more than being on the streets of Dar es Salaam. There are times when our young people decided that there's a king who was supposed to come, and they sent 300,000 emails to that country, and their systems jammed. That was more colossal than any administrative actions on the streets. So I like to tell our young people that sometimes when this administration is prepared to kill you, and then to say that you hit your head on a wall because there only was a central police station, drive 400 kilometers ukacha mkuta zote kwa hiyo barabara ukaona ya central police ni mzuri ya kugongesha. Yani they take us for fools. But anyway, so when we throw our brains at this administration, they are not prepared for your brains. They don't even know how to deal with you. So we can demonstrate in many ways. I see Kenyans going to clubs at night. Ikifika midnight wanaambia DJ wait, we must sing that Ruto must go. That affects government a lot more, because one, they cannot come to a club and tell you will not sing Ruto must go, because once you're done singing Ruto must go, you usually go home. What harm would be occasioned to a government when a drunk person holding a bottle of their favorite drink is staggering and saying Ruto must go? The worst that guy can do is go and sleep in a mtaro or go home. So I will want to implore our young people that when it becomes hard to go to the streets, let us take to all those other spaces to demonstrate our anger.
But the so-called Gava is still coming for those guys when they post those memes.
Actually, that is what I was coming to.
Rose Njeri was...
I'll explain.
Yeah.
Rose Njeri was an extremely perfect example of Kenyans saying, leave no soldier behind. Nobody knew her, really, before she came up with that website. But when she did, Chief Justice Maraga, Eugene Wamalwa, Kalonzo Musyoka, every other big lawyer would have thought about, found themselves in court defending Rose Njeri. What does it tell you? The Kenyans have made up their minds that once you abduct one of us, once you torture one of us, even Albert, look at what Kenyans did for Albert. So this administration is getting more confused because the state terror was supposed to make people go silent. In fact, if anything, the Law Society of Kenya has come out more strongly. So the government is not learning that the more you meet terror on young people, the more vocal they become. They put it now on all social media spaces because they thought ukishika message umetweet, Kenyans will be afraid. What do? Now they speak more about you arresting this guy. They even go to the streets. If Kenyans are not powerful, Silangat sasa may step aside. In as much as that is not resignation, who would have thought that the DIG of police would succumb to pressure? Government is losing more every day because DIG Langat is someone they would have wanted to make IG. But now he's been painted in such light that the government is wondering what to do next. These abductions they did last night and all those other missing people are going to make life even harder for government than it was before they did the abductions. Because now it's harder. You can imagine someone the president really loves in the name of Langat, who he trusts so much in the police, his job is on. It's not known how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So the more they abduct, the better it becomes for Kenya, and the worse it becomes for this administration.
So we keep on losing these people all the time.
Yes.
God forbid today something of a similar nature happens. What happens now? Do we again go back to the streets the day after that, or at a designated time lose a couple of more, then keep on going to the streets?
What happens is, for some people will go to the streets, for some people will not go to the streets. But let me tell this administration, sometimes they count their popularity by the number of people who are on the streets. You're wrong. There are so many people who are demonstrating so vehemently and so loudly from the insides of their hearts than there are those who are not on the streets. There are people who are watching on TV and saying, I hate this government. And so this government needs to, don't judge a demonstration by the number of people on the streets. You're wrong. That's not the measure. The measure of demonstration is asking yourself, how many people who are at home share these sentiments?
Eric Omondi was,
if they share those sentiments, then it means this government is going home.
Eric Omondi was captured yesterday saying that Mojata ilifika mahali akaacha kwenda maandamano. You remember there's a time he used to andamana peke yake.
Yes.
Go to a parliament, he's clobbered, napelekwa huko police station, kidogo kidogo ameenda kotini, anasaidiwa anatoka. And he said hata ilifika mahali akaona I want to preserve my own life. Yes, I will continue with the sisi kwa sisi that is currently doing. What if the majority of Kenyans get to that point? Zile za, you know what, let's forget these maandamanos.
We are submitting ourselves to be governed peacefully. Atutaki vita. We just want a peaceful nation. And we are telling our politicians, if you would listen to us, don't give State House 12 billion and our children 3 billion. At least show some decency. Hawana table manners, unakula zingine zinaanguka, unaokota hizi ziko chini. They are eating so gluttonously. And that was what Kenyans have a problem with.
Yeah.
There are many ways to fix this nation. But first of them is get the right advisors. I thought Professor Makau Mutua, with all his knowledge in law, would come and advise this president on human rights. Now he's tainted his name, because as late as last night, people are being abducted.
Yeah.
So either the government doesn't take advice, or the advisors, when they get to State House, they lose their common sense.
Yeah.
Professor Makau Mutua is one of the most celebrated lawyers. He's been teaching law at the United States of America for a very long time. Harvard University. What will Harvard ask him about human rights? You are there literally to advise the government on law and human rights. When IBC is appointed against a court order, and you are a Harvard professor, and it's against a court order, what do you go back to Harvard and tell Harvard? How are you going to teach people? They'll tell you, when IBC was being appointed against a backdrop of a court order, you were the president's legal advisor. And it happened. When the seal of the nation was being moved from the AG's office to the president's office, you were the president's legal advisor. How do you go back to Harvard and teach law? What law are you going to teach?
Someone alleged that the president doesn't necessarily take advice, because you can come and advise me, and you can tell me, Mbuvi, look, stop taking a lot of alcohol, but it's me to choose whether I will stop taking that alcohol or not. So maybe Makau is there telling the president, yo bro, this and this should go in this way. Maybe Professor Kisiangani is doing the same, and Moses Kuria, David Ndii, and the rest of the advisors. It's just that maybe the person being advised has chosen not to take the advice.
No, some of those people you've mentioned there, without me repeating the name, actually sometimes when we see their tweets, we wonder whether they're advisors. Some of them, you ask, would you use this brain to cross Thika Road? Because you wouldn't get halfway through Thika Road. Yeah, that brain is not enough. And I will not mention a specific name, because there's one I have on my mind. There's one of them who usually puts tweets, and we are like, if this guy was to use this brain to cross Thika Road, he would die before he's gotten to the other side. leave alone now advise him on national matters.
Yeah.
So I think some of those advisors are they are not useful. Some of them are not useful.
Yeah.
And he needed to get rid of them like yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a question about the regional pattern of abductions, and also attacking those people who seem to be of an opposite opinion with the government. We have seen in Uganda. We have also seen in Tanzania. We are seeing a lot happening also in our country, Kenya. What do you think is the problem? Is it something that these East African countries have agreed on, or is it just that's how the government is supposed to operate?
Leadership. Full stop. How many people did Kibaki abduct? You realize that to grow a country and to grow a country's economy, you don't need to abduct people. You're abducting people because you're stealing from them, and when they speak about it, like, look at Albert. What was his crime? Saying that the police are getting 100 million in a month. That's why they abducted him. If that nonsense was not... If you see the things that Oscar Sudi is saying, Oscar Sudi is on social media. One for the right reasons, one for the wrong reasons. So choose what you do, and social media will carry what you do.
I want us to go to Tanzania. We saw what happened to the guy the
Boniface Mwangi.
Yes, we saw what happened to Kenya. Yes, and we also saw the opposition leader in
Tundu Lissu.
Yes, we have seen what has happened. We have also seen with Dr. Kiza in Uganda. We're seeing what has been happening. Would you tell me why is this pattern common?
Tanzania and Uganda first are not respecters of human rights. It ends there. Museveni runs that country like it's his own wallet. So he does what he thinks is best, which is not where we should be in this century. Tanzania has made sure that they've made education a very cherished. Actually, if you look at Tanzania, the bulk of the members of parliament from Dar es Salaam, Dodoma, and Arusha, the elitist constituencies, are usually opposition people. The bulk of the leaders elected from the elitist communities in Tanzania are opposition leaders. The rest of the country is choosing CCM. And Tanzania has decided to make their education weak, to make it inaccessible, to make it not progressive.
Intentionally,
so that their people are at a level. In fact, if Tanzania had a way, they would not have internet. That's why the other time they had to switch off X. They would wish that their people stay in that dark cloud of CCM, and that the only thing you should speak about is Chama cha Mapinduzi, nothing else. But and Uganda is NRM also, and they wish that people would just sit there and sing Museveni very many years after independence. So those are not democracies. Those are countries that pretend to practice democracy.
There's this issue where we're looking at Kenya's opposition. It has more or less been weakened. And at one point I'd probably have used the word dismantled, but it's been weakened, and it's because the government came and raided the opposition and took a lot of figures that were very vocal in the politics of this country. When Raila's voice was taken into government, John Mbadi's voice was taken into government, Junet Mohammed, I'm talking about people who were very vocal at the time of them at their prime in opposition. Do you feel like that was a strategy by the president to ensure that he takes away, the voices that would have been the most vocal, the most powerful, so that the ones that have remained, and unfortunately, I find that they are very, very weakened. They are not as strong as they would have been had Raila been in politics, or rather in the opposition.
God is very faithful, very, very, very faithful to this country. Raila goes in, God brings out Rigathi Gachagua. Has Kenya ever witnessed an opposition leader as strong as Rigathi Gachagua? Look at one term. Ni wapi hakuna jina one term? I mean, I think even Raila is taking notes. He's like, I was in opposition, but where? And every day Rigiji is trending for all the things he's saying. I think Raila's time in opposition has come to an end. Rigiji's time in opposition has come. And if there's one fierce opposition leader we have in this country right now, we are seeing that fierce opposition leader in Rigathi Gachagua.
Right.
Now, if these people have decided to go to government, it is their right. It is okay for them to be there. The only thing is they are going to come and answer to Kenyans what they were doing in bed with an administration that was killing its young people. As to whether they have a conscience or not is another question. Because I personally, I keep telling people I was in Azimio. Actually, I was an Azimio candidate at Waithaka. I vied in a ward. I was number 2, which is useless in politics.
Yeah.
When Baba was going into government, sisi watu wa Azimio, we had a very unique opportunity. Nilikuwa na kachance sasa kakusnik. Maybe ningekuwa PS. Nilikuwa na kachance kakusnik niseme sisi ni wale experts tumeingia na Baba.
Okay.
But I said on a matter of principle, my biggest adversary for this country is William Ruto. I cannot work with him. So I'm stepping aside. I am not allowing myself to join his administration. This is issue-based politics. It is principle-based politics. Right now, Fanyamamba would be in government. Ningekuwa conveniently nasema, tuliingia, sisi ni experts, tuko broad-based.
Ungekuwa natetea hii gava.
But I refused to take that opportunity to go into government with Raila Amolo Odinga and to start eating from an administration that is killing our young people. So I think Kenyans have to make that deliberate choice. The fact that Raila, Junet Mohammed and all these other people have gone into government does not make this government a clean government. It remains a clean government that was joined by people who should not have joined it.
At the prime of Raila's opposition politics, I remember there are times he would say something and it would either come to fruition or we would validate it. For example, it is Raila who brought to light history yote ya kina Margarian, Sagrasian, and we even got to a point whereby there were these memes and jokes going around. Raila akisema your girlfriend is pregnant, don't argue, go buy diapers. Right now we are seeing Rigiji, he's very vocal. But I feel like there's nothing he's said that is substantial or we can pull out and say, okay, you know what, that's a very big issue that he has pointed out. He's been saying that, fine, this happened when I was in government with the president, and I even opposed him when I was in government, but there's no tangible proof. He told us about, for example, this story alituambia jana juzi ya Nyoro. They met the president, and at the end of the day he told Nyoro in his vernacular language that, look, this person is trying to mess you up. But you see, that's hearsay, because Nyoro hasn't come out, and if he has, I'm not aware, he hasn't come out to say that what Rigiji said was the right thing or was true. So we are going on hearsay basically. Rigiji are very sensational about these things, and we are happy when we hear them because we perhaps get a glimpse into what was happening behind the scenes. But I feel like we need tangible evidence about issues. We need something we can hold like this concrete and say, you know what, Rigiji has given us an amazing expose. Ile design ya jicho pevu.
Like, let's say this. The other day, he tells young people, I would not discourage you from going to the streets, but we have intelligence information that goons have been planted to beat you up. Did it come to pass? The following day, young people would go to the streets, and they would find the goons arranged by the governor waiting for them to beat them up. And they did all those things. They even broke into shops. Actually, can you imagine a situation where government is paying thieves with your money first, wanapatiwa allowance, then government is protecting thieves, and you saw how they were breaking into shops in broad daylight. Wanavunja duka, wanabeba laptops, wanabeba computers. Baka we saw some policemen wamebeba computers from those shops. When you have an administration that has gotten to the point that it is actually paying people, first they're supposed to provide security, but they are paying people with your money to come and steal from your shops, then we have lost it as a nation. I think they had sent our police on benchmarking in Haiti, just to benchmark on how to bring anarchy into a nation. And they have come with no scripts, they have come with books, ama maybe wanafanyanga conference calls with the ones in Haiti, and they are saying this is how to run a country using goons, and this is how to bring a country to its knees, because what we are seeing now are things you can only see in a country that is failed. Now, the same Rigiji told us before we went to Meru, he wants to go to Meru, but he knows that the government has planted goons along the way, and for sure we found fires everywhere. And we were fighting for the space to just have a conversation with fellow Kenyans. I think also there are things that people are saying that I think in a great way needs to be understood well. For the first time, we have a leader who is reaching out to also every other community. The other time, we were told that Rigiji is a tribal leader. And if there's someone who ever fought Rigiji in this country, nyinyi hata hamujapiga Rigiji. Mimi nililima Rigiji. Let me tell you, when they were with Ruto, nilimlima sana. But when I saw now he's fighting the same common enemy we are fighting, there's no use for me to fight him. So he went down the whole coast tour. And what were they doing? Uniting people, bringing people together, bringing people of Meru, bringing now, Nani is here, Matiang'i, and very soon there will be a Kisii tour to make sure that even the Kisiis are part of this conversation of taking William Ruto home through the ballot. Very soon we shall have a Western tour, making sure that we are bringing the whole of Western into the fold. I don't know whether they will allow us to go into the Kalenjin community, but we want to go and tell the Kalenjin community, tukinunua unga hii bei ama mafuta. When children are being abducted, even Kibet is Kalenjin and so on and so forth. So it's a conversation we must have as a nation, that this administration has done us badly, and we need to change this administration.
Well, someone is telling me, Ebu tell Kinuthia, Mulize, if Gachagua is really genuine in that opposition, because anasema kwamba, why didn't him, that is Gachagua, address abductions while he was in office? Yeah.
I'd like to say this. First, I don't hold brief for him. I'm not his personal spokesperson. Because when Rigiji was in this administration, I fought him. That's first the answer I'll tell him.
Okay.
And there are so many videos of me fighting Rigiji. In fact, in a way that nobody has ever fought him. Because I felt he was helping an administration that was hell-bent on making our lives hard, even harder. Right now, Rigiji is fighting this administration. He's saying no to abductions. Why would I want to fight someone who is fighting a bad administration? Let us not fight ourselves. You get what I mean? If tomorrow Isaac Mwaura, the government spokesperson, woke up and started saying, I am sorry, I have seen the light. Will you start telling Isaac Mwaura, oh, you're a horrible human being? No, you'll tell Isaac Mwaura, if you are fighting on our side, we are on the same side. The best example I can give you is the biblical example. The person who has written more than half of the New Testament was a murderer. He was Saul before he became Paul. So would you start as telling Saul, oh, why didn't you do the things you are doing now when you were killing people? Saul became Paul after the Damascus moment. Everybody has a Damascus moment. We are judging Rigiji after his Damascus moment. What if Saul, after killing all those people and becoming Paul, has written more than half of the New Testament, right? So Rigiji, after his Damascus moment, has contributed closely to more than half of the opposition that we have against William Ruto.
What if we trust Rigiji? Assuming we trust Rigiji, and then we vote for him come 2027, if he wants to be the president of this country, then he takes us back to this very moment.
I'm not saying we trust him, because I'm saying we trust the fight he's putting up. Because the problem we have, and I have told Kenyans, is we follow personalities and we trust personalities. We have to trust principle. If Kenyans are going to entrust the leadership of this country to Rigiji, they will tell him, it is not you, the person that we are voting for. It is the ideals that you have spoken of. Should you ever depart from these ideals, the fight we shall put up against you shall be worse than the one we put up against Ruto. That's why we are telling people, and that's why I gave you the example of the church where the pastor and the wife is, and then we gave you a church where you don't see the picture of the pastor and the wife. What Kenyans are looking for is a person who will carry certain values and principles into the office of president. If they depart from them, vita inaanza hapo.
Kinodia, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. I want to thank you so much for coming through, but I feel like you need some last words. I don't know, can I hold you for a second after the news?
Okay, sir.
Yeah? All right, so guys, don't go too far. We shall be having the last word in a short while. But kwa sasa, can we just listen to what's happening in the country?
It's 9 o'clock.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's play. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Security has been beefed up across Nairobi ahead of planned protests to remember victims of June 2024 demos. Most roads into Nairobi's central business district are blocked as police poured into the city ahead of today's demonstrations. Officers have also ring-fenced Parliament with razor wire ahead of the protest. On Tuesday, IG Douglas Kanja warned protesters taking to the streets today not to access protected areas. In a public statement, Kanja said the police will uphold Kenyans' right to demonstrate peacefully but will not tolerate any action that breach the law, threaten public safety or target protected areas.
The Constitution, under Article 37, guarantees every person the right, peaceably and unarmed, to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, and to present petitions to public authorities. Also, the Public Order Act, Cap 56, Section 5, Paragraph 1, 2, and 3 requires that such assembled persons should cooperate and coordinate with the police.
The family of blogger and activist Ndiangui Kinyagia is now demanding answers following the disappearance of their king, with reports indicating he had been abducted by unknown persons. According to lawyer Wahome Thuku, Kinyagia was last seen on Monday of Saturday, June 21st, 2025. His phone went off and has remained unreachable, with family and friends unable to trace him. On Monday morning, the family reported his disappearance at Kino police station and were issued with occurrence book number. Here's Kinyagia's mother, Margaret Wamaitha.
My son, his phone is always on, and then hata namfuatanga sana hata kwa Twitter. Nikaona hata his Twitters, they were off. Zile zilikuwa ni zile alikuwa ameweka the other day. So I knew something was very wrong. So nikipigia marafiki wake, hakuna mtu anajua pahali yuko. Hey, that's when we found what happened, the drama. And those people, the neighbors, they didn't have my number. So they didn't know who to contact, anybody.
Private universities have urged members of parliament to intervene and compel the government to release 48.8 billion Kenya shillings owed to them for hosting government-sponsored students. The higher learning institutions are warning that the prolonged delays are crippling operations and affecting service delivery in the institutions. Appearing before the National Assembly Committee on Education at Parliament Buildings, the Kenya Association of Private Universities, KAPU, said the debt accumulated over several years had severely strained their cash flow and made it difficult to sustain academic programs. KAPU chairperson Stephen Ngari led the team during the session, chaired by Kasipul Kabondo MP Eve Obara. At least 46 people waiting for aid have been killed by Israeli fire in 2 incidents in central and southern Gaza, according to rescuers and hospitals. UN agencies have condemned the US and the Israel-backed food distribution system, with one official calling it an abomination and a death trap. Such deadly incidents have recently become a near daily occurrence, but have attracted relatively little attention outside Gaza since Israel attacked Iran more than a week ago. Without including the latest deaths, the UN has said that more than 410 Palestinians are reported to have been killed by Israeli gunfire or shelling since the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation began work in late May. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
There was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed, we are live and we are direct. This is Radio Generation. It's 88.8 in Nairobi, rgk.co.ke, across the interweb. So please, kama hujatupata hapo umechelewa tena sana. This morning we're having a conversation with one Fanyamambo Kinodhia. He's an aspiring politician. Atatuambia mbali anataka kufanya kazi, by the way. But he is a lawyer at heart and a political analyst and a governance expert, if I may add. And Kinodhia, Kinodia, we were just before we took that news break, we were at that point where we were talking about the direction that this country needs to take in terms of the leadership. And there's a question I just want to ask you, but before I do, you were saying that you have a follow-up to the Damascus moment.
Yeah, the Damascus moments, they are very interesting because most of the time, of course, everybody has a past, right?
Yes.
But most of the time we have seen leaders, we elect leaders saying let's forget about their past, but then with time that past continues now manifesting itself, and mtu anaingia pale wanasema nyani ni yule anahamisha nini, msitu ndio tofauti, lakini nyani anabaki ni yule msitu unakuwa ni tofauti. So I want you to tell me, like, these leaders, like right now you've said we have never had a strong opposition like we have with Gachagua as we speak right now. I want you to tell me, like, if maybe people decided to take Gachagua for this position, these things he was keeping quiet about while he was in government, what do we do about them?
I think let us be fair. I have told you that Rigiji was in government. At that time, to me, he was Saul. And now Rigiji has hit a Damascus moment. He is now Paul. And he's preaching the gospel that Kenyans want to hear. And he's preaching it in a way that we all are saying, like, wow, this is doing well. For me, for now, what we need is people fighting on our side. So let us walk with those who are fighting on our side. 2027 is far away. Let us not make 2027 decisions in 2025. I think the problems Kenyans are having right now, you want to make a decision about which school your child will go to, about this child, that child is in the womb. You don't know whether you are carrying a special child, but you are saying ataenda shule fulani. And then once they come out, you realize that you probably need thicker school for the blind, or you probably need a special school for this child, or probably this child should study abroad. Let us not make 2027 decisions in 2025. The 2025 decisions that we are supposed to make right now are decisions about fighting impunity, fighting abductions, fighting a bad finance bill if it comes, refusing to have our airports sold. There are conversations that are 2025 centric. Let us have 2025 conversations in 2025. Let us have 2026 conversations in 2026. When it comes to 2027, now we shall look at who has been in this fight with us, who has meant well, who is truly a genuine person, who can we trust with leadership. This is the wrong time to make that decision. It is the wrong time for that conversation. The conversation now is, how do we stop these people from abducting our children? And so on and so forth.
According to you, Fanyamambo, we need to make that decision when exactly now? On the day of voting?
No. That decision from January 2027,
yes.
We have 8 months to start interrogating and saying who out of this should be the right leader.
Okay.
But between now and 2027, let us start doing a list. Let us start counting those people who are standing up for us.
Right.
Let us start counting those people, because this is when it matters. We have people who are not speaking when it matters. We have people who are not taking initiative when it matters. This is the time we are taking stock of everybody who has been silent and everybody who has ignored us. And then at the right time, we will make the right decision that is good for this nation.
So from here, Kinodia, are you going to the streets or you're going back home?
Now from here, let me answer you, because there's a time, and I don't want to mention him, there's a time I was on the streets, the Gen Z demos of 2024, and I remember someone tapping me on my shoulder on the streets and telling me, I'm a policeman in plainclothes uniform, but I like you so much, Fanyamambo, and I like what you do. You are an obvious target for shooting in the head. I mean, that time they had instructions to shoot several, and they did, and you saw them shooting several people. It was not by accident. They had specific people they wanted to shoot. If I had continued being on those streets, that policeman, you are listening to me and you know I am telling you the truth. You saved my life. You told me go back home. And I took that advice. So I would have been shot in the demos. Am I going to the streets? I'm still thinking here and still praying about it, because I know who I am and I know what target I am.
Yeah.
And I know that if I lost my life today, it wouldn't be of benefit to my children or to even my future growth and even for this country. My voice is still needed. So that's a decision when I'll make when I'm out of studio, because if they announce right now, they'll probably look for me. I would rather wanikute niko huko katikati, then they have to think of what to do about it.
What message do you have for the people who today either they're already there or they're planning to go there?
I think 2 messages. The first one is, let everybody be unarmed. Don't arm yourself. Number 2, let everybody mean well. Go there, raise your anger, raise your concerns. Let's not destroy anything. And then let us go back home in peace. My prayer is that everybody who goes back to those streets will go back home safe and sound and well. Let us also not harm our policemen. I sometimes empathize with them, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters. Let us not be bad to them. Let us be. I have seen sometimes policemen give our people water, and I have seen our people tear gas imeweza wanapatia police. That is the Kenya we want. It's a beautiful place. Sometimes you look at what happens in maandamano and you're given hope. You want to be Kenyan. But I think also, as my parting shot, I've always liked telling people that I'm a lawyer by training, and I run a very interesting practice. I help people resolve disputes out of court. I run the first firm of its kind that helps people resolve their disputes out of court. So if you ever want to resolve your matter out of court, we have a firm that does that. And most importantly, we also offer training in mediation. We help people become mediators. And it's not just lawyers who become mediators. A doctor, an engineer, a plumber, even a kinyozi can become a mediator. It's a 1-week training. So look for us. We run a firm called Kiliman Mediation Center, and we always help people resolve their disputes out of court. It's a beautiful place to be. Law is not always about taking people to court.
I was asking if we'll have some of the top leaders in opposition today joining the commemoration. I mentioned that we need to see the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka there, because he told people to commemorate today.
Yes. I saw Justice Maraga, who had written a very strong letter and worded and said that he will be part of the demonstrations. I know Cleophas Malala had said he would be there. Kalonzo Musyoka had said he would be there. We will be waiting to see.
All right.
But I think it is the right thing for all of us to do. We just need to be guaranteed of our safety. Just need to be guaranteed of our security.
All right.
We are promising that on our part, we will carry no weapons.
Yes.
So don't send us goons.
All right.
On our part, we want to be peaceful. So don't make things impossible for everybody. This is what we want to do.
All right. Thank you so much for gracing our show. This is the first week we've been doing these conversations. So far, so good. And thank you for honoring our request to be here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
You have a wonderful team.
Thank you so much.
Producer is someone who, if they called me, I would come anytime.
Right. So if Tricia called you, you'd come?
I didn't know Tricia.
Now you know.
Nowadays, I have to be careful. Now I know Tricia.
All right.
But I mean, with time, once you get to know people and interact with them, I meet you here. I'm like, we tumetoka mbali na wewe.
Yes.
So it's a good place to be. I'm happy. And once again, you have a very beautiful studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
We shall invite you here.
You can tell I've been to very many studios.
Yes.
We will invite you here over and over.
First, you see the comments.
Yes.
See if people want me back.
If they do. Wakenya washakupenda. Actually, when you leave, I'll start reading those comments. But thank you so much for coming.
Sana.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so don't go too far, guys. Tunataka kuchambua this conversation that we've just had with Fanya Mambo Kinothia, and of course, getting to know your comments, read your comments rather, and getting your sentiments on air.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
All right, welcome back. This is Radio Generation 88.8 in Nairobi, rgk.co.ke in actually everywhere. Karibu kwambia rgk.co.ke in Mombasa, but in Mombasa it's 90.7. Thank you so much for joining us for this particular conversation. Fanya Mambo has had a very interesting output as far as the proceedings of the country are concerned, and specifically about the budget allocations, talking about where these monies are going and where they shouldn't be going. I liked the fact that he actually put he crossed all the T's and he put the dots on the I's and the J's when he broke down the amounts of money that are going down to the children in mashinani.
It's so unfortunate.
Wanapata 1 shilling and 50 cents.
Maybe I will go back and redo that math.
Yeah.
I would want to redo that math because if it is 1 point something shillings, that is just hata sijui naweza describe aje.
Yes.
Yeah, that is just so unfair that it means that we do not have we do not prioritize education, because like we've always said here, food is so basic in education. Education without food, of course the output will not be what you really wanted.
I mean, like, you cannot concentrate on an empty stomach.
Yeah, of course.
You cannot, even as a teacher, you can't teach on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And these are some of the things. Even yesterday we were talking about the hospital situation whereby patients are unable to get food in the hospitals. There is no way we can survive and operate in this country if we just do not have the right environment.
Well, and I like it that some of these things, they are things that he pointed out and they were acted upon. I'm looking at this one for the First Lady office. Wow, a lot of money.
700 million.
Yeah,
700 million. But me, I have no problem with to be honest, before people start pelting stones at me, I have no problem with the First Lady getting 700 million. The only problem I will have is if that money is not put to good use. You understand? If I earn a salary of 20,000 and I come back home and I give my wife 10,000 shillings. See, that is 50-50.
Yes.
Nimwambie babe, sasa hebu nisaidie kutumia hiyo do venye tunafaa kufanya. Tunafaa kulipa rent, unajua tunafaa kulipia internet, tunafaa kununua chakula, tunafaa kulipa mfanyikazi, tunafaa kulipa land rate, tunafaa kufanya hizi vitu zote. If my wife can help me spend this 10,000 vile inafaa, then I think that's okay.
So I want you to understand, this is an office, not your house. Sawa? No.
What I'm trying to say is,
what I'm saying is,
yes,
it is not the governor who has taken his allocation kumpatia mke wake amsaidie, the First Lady to assist. Sawa? Here we are talking of a separate allocation to the office of the First Lady.
Okay.
Na amekupatia a very good example. City hopper driver. Like wewe ulete ameandikwa kazi pale, alafu kuna ile pesa mke wake anapewa because she is the wife to the
and I want to answer that one.
Yes.
Fine. I work at City Hopper and I'm being paid 50,000 Kenya shillings to be the driver of this matatu or bus. If out of that 50,000, yes, City Hopper wasikizana na mimi, we shall be giving you as Mungala Mbuvi 40,000. Then the other 10 tupatie bibi yako. I think that's fine. Then now I know it doesn't necessarily make sense. What I'm trying to say is it might not be a very good comparison. But what I'm trying to say is if we're going to give the public's money to the First Lady, you know what? Fine. Because tumesema we can't have her, just sitting idle in the house, in the State House. We can't have her just being a flower girl. Kazi yake ni ku receive foreign envoys and foreign presidents. Fine. But if we are going to give her money and we have created this so-called office of the First Lady, can we at least ensure that money is well spent? Because I don't think we would be here crying and shouting and complaining if that 700 million or 900 million or the 500 that was given to the Prime CS's wife is actually well spent. I don't think we'd be crying.
So I think you're using a different example to mean something else, because what you're saying, you're saying your salary.
I gave an example.
Mkikubaliana your salary. And here we are saying the office of the First Lady hatuja kuchagua. We did not choose you.
Right.
So if you think you feel like you want to support your husband in their work, well and good, nendeni mukashe ile budget yako naye. Why are you now coming back to us? Sisi tuanze kuallocate tuanze kupatia another budget at sijui unaenda kushughulikia nini. And again, I will take you to Meru. Do you remember the husband to the governor who was
Kawera.
Do you remember how people had a lot of problems with him? Akionekana ameingia kwa gari ya governor. How people had problems with him.
Yeah, nasikia hata alikuwa anaenda kwa cabinet meetings za county.
Akienda katika hizo cabinet meetings. So just the same thing will apply to the office of the first lady. Sisi tunasema because like okay ni sawa, there are some atukatai what they were doing, ni kazi walikuwa wanafanya, but was it worth all those millions of money? Like, you know, combining all that, then you compare with whatever counties are being given,
right.
And whatever counties are being given, it is meant now to develop the counties. You cannot compare those two.
Let me play the devil's advocate again for a second here. Countries like the States, they have the office of the first lady as well. So Kenya is not unique in that endeavor. And this particular office of the first lady, the woman who comes in to support the president as his spouse was there during the campaigns. Didn't we see President Ruto akizunguka Kenya with Mama Rachel Ruto? Tulimuona. Kweli urongo. Uhuru Kenyatta tulimuona na Margaret Kenyatta. Tuliona wakizunguka huku Kenya mzima, you know, wakisema even sometimes Margaret Kenyatta would speak, you know, before her husband would speak, because she was trying to appeal to the female voters, to the women, to the mamas out there. And also Mama Rachel Ruto tulimuona the same thing, akiwa pale akikampaign na nani, na bwanake Bwana Ruto. Tuliona pia Rigiji with the wife Pastor Dorcas wakizunguka Kenya, and at one point even Pastor Dorcas would pray before they started their campaign speeches and so on and so forth. So what am I saying? I am saying that the success of your husband, you as the wife, you should also share in the success. And that's why I'm saying I have no problem with us allocating money, yes, to this particular office that is so-called of the first lady or the second lady or of the wife or the spouse of the prime CS. The only problem I will have is if that money is not well spent.
And me,
right?
Okay,
because there are some not deputies, but there are some spouses who've got like some really awesome passion projects. Okay? They will have, and instead of yeye kukwambianga tu babe, unajua unaweza allocate pesa kwa wanawake, babe unajua unaweza allocate pesa za sanitary pads, babe unajua unaweza, mbona tu bwana yake asiseme okay babe, you have some very good ideas. Now let's cut this bureaucracy of you having to call me babe all the time and remind me that women need sanitary towels. Calling me babe all the time, reminding me that women are dying during child labor. I am going to give you this responsibility. Let us make a law, you know, put it into the constitution or whatever we're going to do to ensure that we have this office of the first lady, that now we can have, you know, these passion projects you've been having. Wacha nikupatie hiyo nafasi. Okay? Shika this 700 million or 900 million. Make that happen. You understand? The only and I insist, the only problem I have is when you're given, because we give the president money all the time, we give CS's money all the time, we give PS's money all the time, and we give directors in government money all the time, but do they spend it well? At the end of the day, we are hearing corruption every single day, yet these are constitutional offices. They have been enshrined in our constitution, in the law, and they still misuse. So why are we, what I'm saying is, have that first lady's office, tumia pesa yako vizuri. Period.
My brother, hapa si stories za familia. Wewe na bibi yako, your well-being, hata wewe saizi here at work. Your well-being is also important here at work.
True.
But you have not carried your wife ati sasa, kwa sababu anasema kuna some things anaweza kufanyia RGK. If she wants to get employed at RGK, she follows the procedures.
Aende kwa HR.
Anaenda kwa HR, anaandikwa kazi kama yeye. Here we have elected the president, and that is the reason why the president will have a deputy president.
Right.
That is the reason why the president will have a running mate.
Who is the deputy president?
Who becomes now the deputy president. So okay. Why are we basi tukue tuna kama ni mwanaume asimame na mke wake. Basi sasa ndio akuwe ndo running mate wake, so that now they can do projects together.
Yes. Anyway, I mean at the end of the day, it's just a difference in opinion. All I'm saying is no matter who we put there, whether we allocate that money, that 900 million that would have gone to the first lady's office. Imagine we put that money into the prime CS's office or into the Ministry of Gender and what. Then bado pesa itumike vibaya.
But let me tell you.
So now tutasema
it's okay.
Does it justify the fact that we didn't have the office of the first lady, but now that we put it in the Ministry of Gender, bado pesa imeharibika.
Wacha miradi za gender ziende katika ofisi za gender. Hizi stories za kusema mke wangu anataka aende afanye nini by the I do not support that. Yani that one I cannot support.
We have this office called the Woman Rep Office, right? Which apparently is in every single county. And a lot of activists have been saying that it needs to be scrapped because there's nothing that they do. And I unfortunately I agree with the people who have been saying that iki kiti kitolewe. Because what is so special about that position that cannot be done by your local MP?
And what is so special with the position of the
first lady?
The first lady, which cannot be done by the respective departments that are supposed that are charged with that duty.
Uko tushatoka there because again it's a difference in opinion. We might dwell there forever.
Well, for the women rep, I'm not going to talk about it so much because I'm yet to look at why people are really challenging it that much.
Okay, do you understand what that office is all about? The Woman Rep Office. Because personally I don't. I'll be very honest. I vote for that position, and when I get to that position, I honestly wonder why am I voting for this person. But I vote because I don't want that vote to be lost. But I honestly do not understand what is so special about. She's the woman rep, fine. Yeye ni mwakilishi wa wanawake katika county ya Nairobi, for example. We have Esther Passaris here in Nairobi. You explain to me, and if Esther Passaris kama unatusikia, please just explain to me. We're on WhatsApp. Tupate kwa hiyo namba yetu ya our WhatsApp group inaitwa Radio Generation. And tell me what exactly that position is all about. Before Esther Passaris, we've had many. We had another woman rep. To be honest, I just don't understand.
Well, I think just as per the name, like the way it is saying, woman rep, representing a women
in that county.
No, okay, in that county and specifically, this one is for at least pushing women into that the constitutional 2/3 gender rule.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
so
because
we are paying
most
someone.
Of the time, no, most of the time, this is like you remember we have the 2/3 gender rule, and it was hard for women to get into those positions.
And that's I'm asking.
The reason being, these other positions were so competitive, and the nature of how we have been doing things, our elections, kulikuwa na ugumu wanawake wengi kuingia katika serikali.
So we are literally paying someone just for them to complete or rather to fulfill the 2/3 gender rule. That is the only reason.
And there are so many other things. Women.
No. I just want to make it very clear. Yes, I know where this whole debacle started about women rep. Okay? And yes, sometimes it is very difficult to vote in female leaders into certain positions. Okay? So the only reason we are paying 47 women, because we have 47 counties, and we are paying them a lot of money. We are giving them security. We are giving them what? Basically, the amount of money we are spending on these individuals monthly, forget even yearly. Let's not even calculate since we started that particular constitutional office. The only reason we have them there is because we want to fulfill the 2/3 gender rule.
Yeah, which is important. It was hard for us to get there.
Because if it's about laws, laws can be made by the female, by actually all MPs in parliament, right? And it's not like we don't have any female representation in parliament. Yes, there might be few, but we have women. Yes, they might be less than the expected number or the number that we want, but at the end of the day,
but it was important that we have that number. That is why it has been pushed.
Okay,
that is why we have this seat, so that it can be able to push for the fulfillment of that, because imekuwa ngumu sana.
Amen. Tuko na wanawake pale, si ndio? Niambie ni nini wameachieve
women. You have not seen anything that women have done.
No.
Yes,
specifically the women rep. I'm not talking about the likes of Akina Milio Odhiambo. I'm just saying, what has this position that we created called woman rep achieved?
Where are we at in terms of the gender, the 2/3 gender?
I want to find out.
Yeah, you will have to find out and get the answer, because if that was their main role, well, I'm not going to speak so much about the women rep position because
we don't need it.
No. Not because we don't.
Honest, we don't need it.
Because we don't need it. I think I'm not going to speak about it that much because I know their roles and the powers. Okay, they have participated in lawmaking, of course, and in debates.
Yes.
Sawa. Those are parts of the things that ata your MPP anafanya. Sawa. They have participated. Of course, they represent the interests and concerns of their constituents. Yeah.
Okay.
And they do also exercise the oversight role. Yeah.
Now, this is something that can be done minus those 47 women.
And how many women do you want?
I want you to come out there and campaign like every other person. Convince the people. These so-called people you want to represent. Imagine convince them. So that we don't like isikwetu ni nywe. Tunajua tu lazima hiyo nafasi itakuwa na mwanamke. And I'll mention specific parliamentarians who are women. And me, I just want you to tell me what they have done. Na nimeanza tu na Pasaris. I have nothing against her, all right? I just want to ask, ni nini Mheshimiwa Pasaris amefanya? Naweza sema mimi kama Nairobian. At least I see her that, and I've mentioned actually even someone like Millie Mabona. She's very vocal in parliament.
Yeah.
She participates in the process of lawmaking in parliament. All right, and many others I'm forgetting right now. But mimi naongea specifically about the 47 women reps.
Of course, we are going to have one.
Specifically
aje atuelezee
in this office of the woman rep we have na hiyo nataka kuona because if it's about fighting for vitu kama sanitary towels and sanitary pads, anybody hata KJ anaweza.
That is not their responsibility.
I'm just saying.
And you need to understand that is not their direct role or responsibility. That is not part of their roles.
If it's about FGM, any single parliamentarian, senator, governor can speak out. It doesn't have to be a female.
I have told you that is none of our roles.
And that is why I'm saying sielewi kwa nini specifically
the issue is the 2/3 gender role. I think and when we get one of the women rep here to explain, maybe they will make it clear to us, but I know the bottom line is the 2/3 gender rule.
Yeah.
But issues to do with the special needs, the women special interest, no, that is not their role actually.
Haya, mimi mbele hapo sitaongea juu ya women roles in parliament. What I will say though,
wanataka wakuja wamenyane na wewe.
Jiteteni tu kawaida. Jiteteni tu. Uza sera zako za nguvu so that you can actually prove to the populace that look, I am not defined by my gender. I am defined by the policies I sell to you and actually my ability to perform the job that you have given me.
Okay, before we got to this point where we are having women as governors, before we got here, you will realize the role, the role that these women rep used to play.
Right.
Before we got where we at least we can see women governors, we can see women MPs, because before Mungala, you will agree with me that it was hard to have women in these positions. It was so hard, and
it is because
the creation of such positions have helped in creating that 2/3 gender.
No, I disagree. I'm so sorry, but I'll have to disagree with that one. Look, we have elected female governors before. There's a Charity Ngilu, there's a Wavinya Ndeti, all right, and the reason why these people were elected were not because that they were women, because they were running against men, and very strong men for that matter. But for example, Wavinya even ran for governorship when Alfred Mutua was seeking election, the first and the second term, and people ended up electing who? Alfred Mutua. Was it because Wavinya Ndeti didn't have, was it because she was a woman? No. And Wavinya Ndeti, by the time she was coming to vie for the governorship of Machakos County, and she was elected by the people of Machakos, they did not elect her because she was a woman or because there were no good men that could run against her. It is because they believed in her vision. And I'll say the same about Gladys Wanga, who's the current, governor for Homa Bay. It is because alikuja na akauza sera na watu wakanunua hizo sera. Si ati hakukuanga na wanaume wengine walikuwa wanapigania hicho kiti na yeye. Same thing to every other female politician in position that is not specifically for women. The female MPs that we have, the female governors that we have, the female senators that we have, they were not elected because there were no strong men at the time of election. No, it is because people believed in their vision and people bought the vision. And so that is why I'm insisting women need to come out strongly and sell themselves better, sell better visions, sell better manifestos so that we can elect them. Ndio tusiwapatie tu kiti ya woye, tuendelee kuwapatia tu pesa ya woye na sisi ndio tunaendelea kuumia kwa mifuko yetu.
I think you are not getting my point.
No.
They started somewhere before we started having these women leaders. There is somewhere we started, and the reason why didn't we, by the way, why don't we have the 2/3 gender role for men?
It is because obviously in terms of activity in politics, men are more. If you're going to be honest,
you have the answer with you there.
There are areas that do not even have a female contender in specific seats.
So that is the reason why we had this seat to help.
But now, if you're not interested in
promote,
the seat,
you get this was to help promote to have this 2/3 gender role.
Patricia, if you're not interested in the seat, sasa tukulazimisha uchukue tu.
Hakuna mtu amelazimishwa kuchukua kiti.
Hivyo ndivyo kuko. Hivyo ndivyo kuko.
Sidhani, nobody.
Hivyo ndivyo kuko.
That seat wacha nikwambie, like right now, the time I wanted to go for the woman rep. Rep in Mombasa.
All right.
But then you realize how many of the candidates are there. So many. So why do you say that people are being forced to?
So why did you back down? Why did you back down? It is because umesema specifically woman rep. Kimbia governor tuone. Kimbia senate tuone. Kimbia member of National Assembly tuone. MCA.
There's something there's a disconnect somewhere. There's something you are not getting from me. The reason why we have these offices, and they will continue up to until then, that time when we feel like now this 2/3 gender imekuwa na iko sawa, until that time that we have enough women leaders in these governments.
Okay, let me be more clear. Maybe I'm not coming out clearly. I said I do not see why we have the position of woman rep. I don't understand the function of that particular office. I am sure there is somewhere the job description imeandikwa, but I just don't see the impact of that office. Okay, that is number one. Because when we say that we need to represent women in parliament, or we need to represent women in leadership, leadership is not given for free. Leadership, you have got first of all to ask the people that you want to lead, tell them that you want to lead them, and allow them to give you the mandate. And that is why we elect a president. The president comes, or the candidates come, and they tell us, look, we would like to be your president. Then we decide we're going to vote for these people. All right? We don't vote for them because of their gender. We don't vote for them because of their experience. We vote for them because we believe they have got what it takes to lead. And we give them the authority to lead us. When it comes to any other position, from the MCA to the member of National Assembly, Senate, governor, and eventually president, I would like to see women asking for those seats in the same way men ask. Yes, men are more vocal, obviously. We've got more energy and more stamina to ask for these particular seats. Yes, we live in a patriarchal society. We cannot ignore that. However, there are women that have hit that glass ceiling, now wameitoboa, now wamefika into those positions of power. Why? Yet they're still women. It's not like that they have any special superpower. No.
But how many are they?
The women that have been, let's not talk about how many they are. Let's just talk about even if it's one. Okay?
Yeah.
And we are not talking about the woman rep. We're just talking, there's a female MCA that was elected, not nominated.
Yeah.
Why? Because the people that she represents chose her. We have female members of parliament elected, not as a woman rep, but as an area MP of a certain constituency. Why was she elected? Because out of every candidate in that constituency, they chose her. We have a female senator, not a woman rep, female senator. She ran against men and she won. We have female governors, ran against men and she won. my message here is, even if it's one woman out of 400 men, why did that woman get elected? Sababu aliuza sera. Mimi naomba wanawake muuze sera zenu, kwa sababu kama hizo sera ni za nguvu, tutawapatia kura.
And then I'm telling you something you're just refusing to get. I have no problem that with women who are able to go and sell their manifestos, and you get, now they get the votes. Sawa, wanashinda wanaume. But now the question was, how many are they? So that is why I'm taking you back to where your swali to your answer yenye unakataa moja kwamba the role of these women rep was to help boost
the numbers.
Yes, the women, the female lead,
representation in leadership.
Yes, and they do mentorship programs, civic education, boosting women leaders, because there was the need, and that is why they were put. And that is the reason why we are seeing fruits. We are seeing so many women getting into power. Before, tunajua kwamba so many women were afraid of getting into leadership. Actually, first of all, because of how politics, because most of these positions ilikuwa ni political, such that mtakwenda kwenye ballot, and we know and we have seen how our voting was like before. Yeah, and that is the reason why we had this position, and I believe na mpaka sasa women have seen, and they have seen it is possible, and through the many mentorship programs ambazo zinafanywa na these women rep and other women leaders, inatupatia ile motisha ya women getting into power, something they used to fear before.
All the best. But still, woman rep itoke. It is now 20 minutes.
Well, ikitoka sahi, tumefika mahali. We are somewhere. We are somewhere.
20 minutes to the top of the hour.
Yes.
Let me just give guys a little bit of traffic updates. Niwaambie nini kinafanyika kwa barabara zenyu, because currently, I don't know if it's my machine, but sioni, I can't see anything happening on the roads of Nairobi. But anyway, I'm looking at, where is this road? Yes, watu kutoka Kitengela, as you're heading towards Mombasa Road, there's nothing to complain about there. The roads are new. As you're going down to the CBD past Mlolongo, ukiingia pale Cabanas, as you're heading towards, let me see here. Yes, Cabanas, as you're heading down to Next Gen Mall, eventually as you get to the CBD, unless there's something wrong with my internet connection, I'm literally seeing that there's nothing to complain about as far as the roads are concerned. Where else? If you're on Ngong Road as well, no complaints on that particular road. A little bit of construction areas here and there, but that's kawaida, so some roads have been closed because of that particular situation. But as far as general traffic is concerned, there's absolutely no complaint. Can you see anything on your end?
Now on my hand, I'm also not seeing anything quite special. It's only that mandamano imeanza, kaka.
So there's action on the streets.
Yes, of course. We are seeing people already in town. Is it in town? I want to see where is here. But tunaanza kuona groups za watu. What I'm just looking forward to, and I keep on saying.
All right. As the maandamano are going, let me just let you know that the president is very busy at work, and he's currently hosting His Excellency Sultan Ali Alana, who is actually, let me just read his tweet. He says, I was pleased to welcome His Highness Prince Rahim Al Hussaini, the Aga Khan's envoy, His Excellency Sultan Ali Alana, at State House in Nairobi. I have extended an invitation for His Highness the Aga Khan to visit Kenya for the signing of an agreement for the recognition of the Ismaili community. All right. So, President is very busy at work. Just to let you know. Serikali ilisema leo kuna public holiday.
Watu waende kazini. But there's a certain live video that I'm checking, and I'm seeing most of these roads in town, the streets in town actually, most of them naona tu watu wanakimbia polepole, hakuna watu wengi kule town.
Right. Also, I'm just on X, and I can see there's an account here, Ademba Alans, just showing us a street here. This is at the archives. Yes. So archives pale Moi Avenue. Ninaona watu wamekutana pale katika do I say statue kwa Kiswahili nini? Hebu niambie. Ama ni statue? Statue ya Tomboya pale. Kenyans have congregated there. They seem to be looking at someone who's talking to them. I don't know who that is. Don Slim anasema leo watu wamerauka mapema tena sana. So, I don't know. Can you see anything on your end?
I'm just watu nasema groups kidogo tu za watu, like like you are saying. It's just a same area. Well, there's a big group of people here, by the way.
Yes.
But what I'm seeing is some of the streets are clear. Nobody.
Now there's a video I'm seeing here. Someone has posted this on their TikTok account. And they are showing huge crowds. This is where this is. Oh yes, unaona pale Koja Mosque. That road when you're approaching from Ngara getting into Koja, huge traffics of human people just walking rather. And I can tell you for free that watu wameingia Nairobi. Watu wameingia Nairobi wengi tena sana. Where else?
Yeah, seems like kwenye nilikuwa naangalia kuna watu, but I'm seeing this is place I'm seeing the youth wanajaribu kufungua gari ya mtu. Wanajaribu kufungua gari ya mtu. Then there's also this one person who is coming and telling them no, stop doing what you are doing.
Yes.
I think these are some of the things that we are saying we should avoid.
Right.
Yeah, and
hooliganism.
Yesterday we were talking of people putting on the white t-shirts and something black, but a majority of the people that I'm seeing, yes, naona wamebeba bendera wengine, but that is not the case.
All right, so about an hour or so ago, Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka was at Holy Family Basilica for morning prayers ahead of today's commemoration. I don't know if he's still there, but I've also seen alongside him is one Eugene Wamalwa. Yes, they were at Holy Family. I don't know if he's still there, but I guess perhaps when he leaves the Basilica, he might just be getting into the CBD. We are seeing here pictures that have been posted by one of Kenya's most prominent bloggers, that is Cyprian Nyakundi. Video. This is a video of Moi Avenue. We are seeing lots and lots of Kenyans on the streets, and the tweet says that we will exceed 2 million today. And there's this hashtag that inatembea sana, hashtag siri ni numbers. Nani mwingine? Former LSK president Nelson Havi also has posted something on his social media, that is on his X account, and he says that a government at war with its people, especially children, has no future. All right, who else? We have microblogger Maverick Aoko, of course, talking about the whole situation happening in the CBD. Who else? We can see, yes, more pictures of Kalonzo at Basilica. Yes, watu leo wameamua.
Watu wanaingia, naona watu wanaingia town, and somebody is saying that the roads are not blocked to town, to the CBD. Update, roads not to CBD are not blocked. Beware of people who want to discourage the numbers. Okay, this is Cyprian is Nyakundi. That's what he has written. And of course, by the way, we can see the numbers are quite big right now.
Yes,
some of the roads, not on all the roads. I
wanna play a few videos here. I don't know if we shall be able to beam them live on our website, that is rgk.co.ke. Producer, sijui kama tunaweza kuzicheza. Wacha nisome kwanza hapa. Justina Wamaya amesema, before the police reforms, we knew that GSU aka Fanya Fujo Uone, who were armed with sticks, shield and tear gas canisters, were seen during demonstrations. Sadly today, with the joint operations, we see police with guns and tear gas canisters only, meaning their only action is to shoot. Okay, that is according to entrepreneur and politician Justina Wamai. So there's a video here. Let me just find it and see if I'll be able to play it on shall be able to beam it live. So here we go. Let me see. Now in that particular video, Kenyans wamezingira askari hapa. And they look like they are escorting him towards a particular direction. Thank God they're not hawajamua kumfanyia mabaya, which is a very good thing. Now I'm looking at this video and I can tell that the location is somewhere along University Way as you're actually Jivaji Gardens as you're approaching Moi Avenue. Not Moi Avenue, but University Way. Yes, that is where this drama is taking place. Let me see if I can find another one.
Have you seen the have you seen the razor wire that has been
around KICC.
Yes, a place around Parliament Road.
Yes,
ahead of the protests. Kumewekwa razor wire.
There's a video here.
But then you need to understand this way is it powered?
What?
The razor wire. Has it been powered?
No. It doesn't have electricity.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's another video here of CS Murkomen. This one has been posted by the Star Kenya. Let's just listen in. All right, so that is CS Murkomen and some police commanders. They're in the streets of Nairobi. I really can't tell which street this is.
It was this, I think, around Parliament.
Yeah,
somewhere. Yes.
Anagotea Wakenya wengi hapo, Ngumi Mbwegze. And he's just telling guys like, look, let's take it easy.
I like what they are saying.
And you know what? We need to talk about this. And we said we would like to see our leaders out there.
Yes.
So at least we've seen Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yeah. I'm
yet to see CJ Maraga. Maybe just because I've not found his image here doesn't mean that he's not there. But I'm yet to. We've seen Eugene Wamalwa, CS Murkomen, of course, here representing the government, which I think for us is a good step towards, just speaking up against one specific vice, which of course has been the violence that we have been
shared a video just seeing human traffic, people getting into town.
Hiyo ndio nimesema hiyo barabara ya kuingia Koja Mosque.
Oh yeah, yes.
Hapo kuna traffic. Kuna video nyingine, I think Moyaveni is one that has got the most drama or what. There's a video here of some boda riders. They seem to be just in the middle of the road. Umesikia vile wamesema? Unajua polisi ndio wanachokozanga. These are boda riders, eh? I hope they keep it that way. Let's keep it peaceful for the sake of this country. This country is bigger than all of us, bana. It's bigger than a few of us. There's another video here. This one has been posted by the Standard. Yeah. Just showing a calm Ngong Road. Hamuna drama pale, and like I told you, that road we've checked, it doesn't have traffic. Of course, heavy police presence in some areas, but nonetheless, things are smooth as far as that is concerned. All right, yeah. Where else? People seem to be having a very interesting day, rather very interesting morning this day. Now, there's a video here also at Holy Family Basilica. Let me see if we're able to hear Kalonzo Musyoka.
That time demonstrating peacefully against the high cost.
All right, that video, the audio is quite low. We might not be able to hear what he's saying, but our news team definitely getting down to business, ensuring that we get all those sound bites for you so that we can get to experience this firsthand. Keep it locked, of course, here, because in subsequent bulletins you will definitely get all that and much more as far as the proceedings happening in Nairobi today are concerned, and anywhere else around the country. There's a guy here, mask ni bure, napeana mask hapa Nairobi CBD. A very young man standing next to the Tomboya statue, just handing out masks for free at no cost at all to Kenyans. And I think this is the best experience I think Kenyans will have if we continue this way until the end of the day. Yeah. So there are some people here who are speaking on social media. We shall try our best to get those audios for you guys. We can see protesters are marching along Moya. Why is it only Moya Avenue bana? Watu watokezee kila mahali.
Nataka watembe kila mahali.
Watu wasiende tu sehemu moja. Yeah. There is another video here. I think the most action is taking place along Moya Avenue, which is fine as long as, again, we keep it peaceful. What are your predictions today?
I don't want to predict. Okay. I just pray for peace.
Tumeanza vizuri.
Me, I don't want to predict anything. I'm just praying for peace. And because we can see how it has started. Hatujaona kama watu wanakimbizana and I like it in that video. Yeah, that video where the guys were surrounding some vehicle in town.
Yeah.
And some of them are coming and telling them no, stop. Nimeona wengine wanajaribu kuwatoa katika ile gari because I saw they had even opened the boot.
Yes.
The boot of the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, they had already started checking what is in the boot. So some of the guys have come and told them no, let's not do that.
Can we listen
Just
to
one of the clips I've seen?
Can we listen to our cousin kidogo? Kuzoa kwa hapa anaongea. Let me just get this video to start at the very beginning. There we go. Yeah, so that is the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua. Currently, I don't know where this is, but he was having something called morning devotion, perhaps. So let's hope that indeed things are going to end up fantastically well. I can see also Boniface Mwangi has posted a couple of videos. Ako kwa CBD kweli? Hebu sikieni huyu jamaa kama ako CBD. So there we have border riders, people on, they have come to town with drums, hopefully just, playing nice tunes towards, just expressing their opinions and just expressing themselves and just trying to, say that, look, hatuna noma. Hatuna baya na mtu yote.
We are peaceful.
We are peaceful. And I like what I'm seeing. I'm seeing multitudes of people. I'm seeing people at Central Police Station. And, this is something actually even Fanyamambo has mentioned today. That, we can just go there and just sit. Because I'm seeing exactly that along University Way and on to Harithuku Road. People are just standing in front of the police station and they are singing and they are dancing. And the police are also just looking at them. Of course, urging them to keep a safe distance. Musikaribe gates na pia. And at the end of the day, once we are done, once we have sung, once we have remembered our fallen, colleagues, we go back home.
Let's get back to our homes peacefully. And what I'm just worried about is that now the goons, right now we can see the real demonstrators. Wenye ambao wamekuja pale kuomboleza, you can tell. So we are just praying that baadaye tusione people trying kuingilia pale katikati. Do you know? Let me tell you what pali time ambapo maandamano inaanza kukua shida.
Yep.
Wait around 2 p.m. 3 p.m.
Right.
I wish for today people could just do it in the morning hours. Na by saa 7 watu waende zao.
Okay.
I wish, by the way, it could have been that way. Tumekuja kumon. We just do it in the morning hours.
Okay.
Alafu kila mtu aende nyumbani. But then now what happens? Hii kimbikimbi unajua inaanzanga saa 9. Hiyo masaa, that is when now kimbikimbi, and I think that is also the time when goons start coming in.
Okay. Let's hope that won't happen today. We are seeing